Chapter 2068. Sima Yue casually brought her people to Yu Hao's palace. When Yu Hao heard that Sima Yue was here, he had just gotten out of bed, and did not even have time to pull up his pants. When he heard that Sima Yue was here, his hands trembled and his pants almost fell off. He stared at the palace maid and said in disbelief, "Who did you say was here?" "Little Princess Sima Yue," the palace maid replied. "I didn't look for her, and she still dares to look for me?" Yu Hao shouted. "No, when did she come back?" "She came back yesterday." "If she came back yesterday, why did she come to look for me? I didn't bully that scum in youthful palace recently." Yu Hao was confused. He did not provoke her, so why did she come to look for him the moment she came back? "Little Highness, little princess said that she is waiting for you. If you don't go, she won't leave." The palace maid said, "Little Highness, why? Isn't it just to see her? Fine, I'll go. This is my palace. Why should I be afraid of her?" Yu Hao pulled up his pants and fastened his belt. He took a deep breath and pretended that he was not afraid as he went out. However, the courage he put up disappeared when he saw Sima Yue. Looking at her reminded him of the lightning tribulation that year. At that time, it was his grandmother who blocked all the lightning tribulation for him. Even though his grandmother was so powerful, she was still injured by the lightning tribulation. He was dumbfounded and did not dare to imagine what it would have been like if the lightning tribulation had landed on him. Especially now, seeing her smile at him, he was reminded of the way she smiled at him that year. She smiled like that at that time. She looked harmless, but she had caused him and his grandmother to be so miserable. Thus, he subconsciously took a step back and looked at her warily. "What do you want to do?" Sima Yue was a little dizzy when she saw his big reaction. She just wanted to greet him, and was prepared to use peaceful means before resorting to force. If he was willing to give her the sponge, she would not have to meet him on the battlefield. But why did it feel like she had done something to him? She had not even done anything yet. When Yu Hao saw that she didn't speak, he remembered that she only smiled and didn't speak at that time. He was so scared that he took 2 steps back. If it wasn't for the fact that this was his territory, he would have fled immediately. @_250_left. "Why aren't you telling me why you're here?" he asked again. Sima Yue knew that Yu Hao had become more obedient after that incident, but she did not expect him to be so frightened by her. The smile on her face deepened. "Cousin, you don't have to be like this. I'm not here to fight with you this time." "Then what are you doing here?" Yu Hao didn't believe her. "I'm here to ask you for someone," Sima Yue said. "As long as you give me the person, I won't do anything." "Really?" "Of course. What do you want?" "Sponge." "Who did you say you wanted?" "Sponge your cauldron," Sima Yue said. "Impossible." Yu Hao vetoed it immediately. He saw that the smile on her face had faded a lot, and she seemed to be angry. Her attitude was not as firm as before, but she still disagreed. "Sponge can help me with my cultivation, but it's useless to you. If you want a cauldron, you can ask Deja to find a few men for you." Sima Yue's smile disappeared completely. She did not say anything, but only stared at Yu Hao with a dark expression. Yu Hao was scared by her stare. He felt as if he was surrounded by lightning again. He said weakly, "It's true. She's a female cauldron. Even if I give her to you, it's useless. You have to find a man." "I only want her," Sima Yue said. "I know she's with you. Do you agree?" Yu Hao, think carefully. "Where is she? I must take her with me today. I'm talking to you nicely now because I don't want to fight with you. If you're not willing, then I can only make a move first, and then take her away." A smile appeared on Sima Yu's face again, but Yu Hao knew that she was angry. Furthermore, she would definitely keep her word. If he didn't give it to her, she would probably turn his palace upside down tonight. "Don't be so anxious." He resisted the urge to run outside and said to Sima Yue, "Actually, it's not that I can't give her to you, but that..." Sima Yue saw him stuttering and her heart sank. "Is Sponge dead?" Not yet, not yet." Yu Hao quickly denied. He looked at Sima Yue carefully and said, "But it's about time." When Sima Yue saw Sponge, the person on the ground was already breathing out more than in. Well, she wasn't very obedient, so I couldn't help but teach her a lesson. Yu Hao hid outside the door and explained softly. Sima Yue had already guessed that this would happen, so she was not surprised. Starfish's eyes turned red behind her. She tried her best not to cry out loud. Bring her back. Sima Yue waved her hand. She went forward and carried the unconscious sponge. She was so light. How could the little ant in front of him be so light? She had suffered so much all these years. Shi's eyes turned red. He lowered his head, not allowing himself to look at Yu Hao. This way he could not reveal his murderous intent. Bring her back first, Sima Yue said. Master? I'll go back in a while. Starfish and Shi only hesitated for a second before following her orders. This was the palace. Even Anaheim could not directly hurt her. They could bring Sponge back and treat her injuries first. Sima Yue came in front of Yu Hao and said with a smile, Actually, we are cousins. I'm very grateful for what you did to Sponge. We are all adults. We can make our own decisions, right? Yu Hao immediately understood what she meant. He patted his chest and said, Don't worry, grandmother will not care about this. I'm relieved to hear that. You're welcome to come to Youthful Palace to play in the future. Sima Yue patted Yu Hao's shoulder and turned to leave. Yu Hao froze when she touched his body. It was clearly a very gentle power, but he felt like it was extremely heavy. He was really afraid that if she slapped him, he would be turned into a pile of ashes. Little Highness, this person was given to you by the Queen. If you give it to her like this, if the Queen blames you. Mo Lu said worriedly from behind him. What's wrong with that? Since grandmother gave her to me, then I can do whatever I want with her. You saw the situation just now. Do we dare to make a move against her? What if she gets angry and slashes me here? Yu Hao turned around and glared at him. You useless fellows. Even if you die, you won't be able to save me. Then we're just going to let this matter go. This was not his usual style. Yu Hao also felt that this matter was different from his usual style. However, they had not seen the power of the lightning tribulation, so they could not understand his feelings. It was best to stay as far away from this demon as possible. Chapter 2069. Sima Yue returned to the Yuhua Palace, where Starfish and the others were cleaning Sponge's wounds. There was no place on Sponge's body that was intact. Starfish was crying while cleaning her wounds. Seeing Sima Yue coming back, Sponge looked at her with red eyes, like a child. Sima Yue hadn't seen her like this for a long time. She walked over and checked Sponge's body first. Knowing that Starfish had already given her a pill, the only thing she could do now was to treat her wounds. However, Yu and the others didn't know medicine. Starfish's hands were shaking all the time, and she didn't know how to control her strength. She sighed and reached for the scissors in Starfish's hand. Leave it to me. All of you go out. She ordered and turned to cut Sponge's clothes. Let's go prepare hot water. Yu responded and went out with Ling Yin. Starfish hesitated for a while, but still stayed and watched quietly. Sima Yue saw that she was not affected, so she didn't care about her. She cut off all Sponge's clothes with scissors, and the scars on her body could be seen. She cleaned her wounds, and was about to apply medicine when she found that there was something wrong with her wounds. Starfish knew her well, and when she saw her hesitation, she knew that she had found something. Master, could it be that little ant? It's nothing. I just saw something strange about her scars. Sima Yue pointed to the 2 scars. Look at these 2 scars. The marks are already very faint, but you can still see that she made them herself. Little ant hurt herself? Why? Sima Yue went to check Starfish's lower body again. After coming to a conclusion, she sighed in her heart. She's still a virgin, she said to Starfish. She probably made these wounds herself to disgust those men so that they won't touch her. In addition, she's not strong enough now, so even if she does dual cultivation, it won't have any effect, so she can. If she didn't think so, she couldn't think of any other reason for her to continue to be a virgin. Little ant she. Starfish looked at Sponge with heartache, feeling sad for her and glad for herself. If she hadn't followed her master, she wouldn't have been as miserable as Little Ant, using this method to protect herself. This was only temporary. Once she had the strength, Even if she destroyed her own appearance, she would not be able to stop others from thirsting for power. @_250_left. Fortunately, little Ant met Master at this time. In the future, she would be able to cultivate without worry. She wouldn't crave for strength and be afraid of increasing her strength. Shiyu brought some hot water, and Sima Yue poured some medicine into the sponge. She then covered the sponge with a towel, and carefully wiped the sponge's body. "Little princess, let me do it." Shiyu felt that it was inappropriate for Sima Yue to do this for Sponge, and wanted to replace her. Sponge's body is covered in wounds. You guys don't have a good grasp of her wounds. If you touch her wounds, it will hurt a lot. If it weren't for her discovery just now, she might have asked Shiyu to come. But now, she felt a little sorry for this little girl who was about the same age as the starfish. After cleaning the wound, applying medicine and bandaging it, and wrapping the sponge into a mummy, he opened his eyes in a daze. She couldn't see the person in front of her clearly, but she could see the gentleness on her face. It was so warm and gentle that she couldn't help but cry. She called out weakly, "Mother." Sima Yue's hand paused, then continued to tie the last knot. She wanted to say that she didn't have a daughter, but when she saw Sponge's exposed eyes, the words turned in her throat and came out as a gentle comfort. "It's okay. Have a good sleep. Everything will be fine when you wake up." Perhaps her voice was too gentle, or perhaps her presence gave Sponge a sense of security, but after hearing her words, Sponge fell asleep again. Sponge had a dream. She dreamed that she saw her mother again. This time, the dream was more realistic than before. In the past, when she dreamed of her clansmen, there was only heart-wrenching pain in the dream. But this time, she felt very at ease, as if everything in the past no longer existed. Her clan was not destroyed, and she hadn't experienced so many things. However, her mother's face gradually turned into a stranger's face. She didn't know this person, but she felt that she was very warm. Moreover, those eyes were exactly the same as her mother's eyes. She couldn't tell if she had dreamed of her mother, or only dreamed of this stranger. She tried hard to make herself see the person in front of her clearly, but it became more and more blurry. She reached out to grab her, but felt her hand being grabbed. She heard an anxious call. Someone was calling her little aunt. Who would call her little aunt? She must be hallucinating. At this point, she woke up from the dream. She slowly opened her eyes and saw a pair of worried eyes. "Little aunt, don't be afraid. I'm here." Starfish grabbed her hand and comforted her. "Little aunt?" It was the same name as in the dream, and so was the voice. "You are Starfish?" Sponge looked at Starfish hesitantly. After growing up, Starfish could still vaguely see her original appearance, but after so many years, she didn't dare to recognize her. "Little aunt, it's me." Starfish smiled with tears in her eyes. "It's good that you're awake. It's good that you're awake. Where is this? Why am I here?" Sponge slowly remembered what had happened before. Thinking that she was being tortured by Yu Hao, she suddenly sat up, grabbed Starfish's hand, and said, "Were you also caught by them? Did they do anything to you?" "Little aunt, don't worry. This is the Master's palace, not Yu Hao's. You're already out and I'm fine." Starfish grabbed her hand and comforted her. "Master's palace." "Starfish, are you already?" "No, I'm fine," Starfish said. "How is that possible?" Starfish couldn't believe it. If she hadn't given in, how could she be dressed so beautifully and save her? "In the palace? You were also caught in the palace? Which prince caught you?" "Little aunt, this is the little princess palace, not the prince's. My master is the little princess, not the prince." Starfish said, "Hi, she is also here. We're all fine. Is it really the princess?" Sponge still didn't believe it. "It's really her. You even grabbed the master's hand and called her mother," Starfish said with a smile. Sponge remembered the gentle face she saw in a trance, and was a little stunned. Was it that woman? "What's going on with you? I remember that you were auctioned off. Why are you here again?" "Don't worry, let me tell you slowly." Starfish told her everything after she met Sima Yue. Hearing that Sima Yue was really good to them, she was relieved. They were living much better than her. "Little aunt, the master said that if you are willing to stay, you can stay with us. We will work hard to cultivate in the future and destroy all the people who destroyed my family. Chapter 2070. SpongeBob felt that everything was too unreal. Before she fainted, she was still being abused. After she fainted, her life had completely changed. She didn't have to worry about what would happen tomorrow. She didn't have to be afraid that someone would target her. She could even think about revenge. She looked at the starfish. Her eyes were filled with hatred and hope. This was something she had never dared to think about. Infected by the hope in the starfish's eyes, she couldn't help but nod. Starfish, your aunt woke up? Shiyu came in and saw the two people talking. She smiled and said, I heard the sound of conversation coming from the room. I guessed that she should be awake. Now that she's finally fine, you don't have to worry anymore. Auntie, this is Auntie Shiyu. The starfish introduced Shiyu to SpongeBob. During this period of time, other than me, Aunt Shiyu has been taking care of you. Thank you, Aunt Shiyu. SpongeBob wanted to get up and thank Shiyu, but she was stopped by Shiyu. Lie down properly and don't move around. The little princess said that you'll have to lie down for a long time before you recover. Shiyu smiled at her. Although cultivators didn't have any opinions about whether a person was a virgin or not, Shiyu still admired her for using such a method to protect herself. She saw the exhaustion on the starfish's face and said, You've taken care of her for so long. Now that she's awake, you should go and rest. I'll help you watch over here. Ever since SpongeBob had been unconscious for 7 or 8 days, her nerves had been very tense and she hadn't rested for a moment. Now that SpongeBob had woken up, it meant that she was fine. She could also go and rest. The starfish was indeed a little tired now. Since Shiyu mentioned it, she didn't stand on ceremony and left after saying goodbye to SpongeBob. However, before returning to her room, she went to look for Sima Yue. Sima Yue was in a daze while staring at a bottle of chaotic river water. Seeing her come in, she put down the bottle and asked, She's awake? Aunt is already awake. Thank you, Master, for saving her life. The starfish said gratefully. You have a lot to thank for saving your life. You can repay it slowly in the future. Sima Yue said. I will work hard to become stronger and repay my master. Starfish said to Sima Yue as well as to himself. Okay, go and rest. Sima Yue saw that she was tired and did not ask her to talk. Starfish retreated, and Lung Yun came in with Deja. Is this the chaos river water you mentioned? Deja walked over and looked at the bottle in front of her. Yes. Sima Yue passed the bottle to him. He picked it up and felt it. Indeed, I can sense some unique powers. But is this really useful to grandfather? No matter how he looked at it, the primal chaos water did not seem to be compatible with the heavenly Tao. Sima Yue was not confident either. I don't know if it will be useful. I haven't seen my grandfather since he went into seclusion. I don't know how he is now. I can only say that having a solution is better than not having one. That's the only way. Deja said, There's something going on at the border. I have to go there. Don't go out casually in the imperial capital. What happened at the Soul Society? Something happened at the Ruin Valley. That's why the people under him have no leader. I'll go and see if I can take the opportunity to give Chehi a lesson, so that he won't always find trouble for me. Deja did not intend to hide it from her. Ruin Valley? Sima Yue raised her eyebrows. Look at your expression. What did you think of? Deja asked. You should have told you about what happened at the triangular region. You mean that medicinal herb? You think that it has something to do with what happened at the Ruin Valley? I'm not sure if it has anything to do with it. But if it's about this, you can make use of it. Sima Yue smiled and said. Oh, even if it's not about this, you can still make use of it. Deja smiled. This was a good idea. Why didn't he think of making use of it before? This little brat was still thinking too much. News about the clear snow lotus had not spread out yet. That was why only those old fellows in the triangular region went to find trouble with him. With Chehi's protection, those old fellows did not get any benefits. The people in the triangular region could only act like a tyrant within their own region. Even if they did not care, it was only limited to the triangular region. In the outside world, their status was not that high. As the general of the Soul Society, Chehi had many capable people under him. It was more than enough to protect one person. However, he did not know if he could still protect the Ruin Valley well when all the old fellows in the continent went there. Thinking about this, his depressed mood became better. He could not sit still anymore. He stood up and said, "I'll go back and discuss with them. Then I'll rush over. If there's anything, you can contact me." "Okay," Sima Yue said. "Take these things with you." She took out a space ring and passed it to Deja. "What's this?" Deja took it and asked. "Some pills. Some elixirs that can heal the soul quickly," Sima Yue said. "The people in the Soul Society are good at healing the soul. These things are good for the soul. I've marked the levels inside. There's only so much of the highest level. Don't give it to anyone." She had made many pills that were targeted at the soul. Then she gave him some soul fluid and some essence from Elderbai. She had a lot of soul fluid, so she gave him a lot. However, Elderbai's essence was for Deja to save his life. Deja heard her telling Elderbai that, and was surprised that she even had the essence of the spirit tree. However, he did not ask anything. He promised that he would keep it for his life, and not use it casually before leaving. Sima Yue was alone again. She continued to study the chaotic river. She felt that the river water, as the origin of life, should have many unknown uses. If she could really study it, it might be useful. After studying it for a while, she put down the river water and stared at it in a daze. Wu Lingyu had left for a few days to contact the people in the demon world. She knew that something had happened in the demon world. However, Wu Lingyu did not say anything. She did not know how serious it was. She could feel that he was worried about the demon world. She should let him go back to settle his own matters. However, when she thought about how long they would be apart, she was very reluctant to part with him. "What are you thinking about?" The familiar hug made her come back to her senses. "You're back so soon?" Sima Yue leaned into his arms. "Yes, I'm back." Wu Lingyu said. "You were frowning just now. What happened?" Sima Yue turned around and faced him. She put her hands around his neck and said, "Lingyu, go back to the demon world. You despise me and want to chase me away?" Wu Lingyu pretended to be sad and said, "Who despises you? I can't wait for you to be by my side." Sima Yue pouted. She suddenly felt a little sad. Chapter 2071. She pouted and Wu Lingyu's heart ached. He stopped joking with her and hugged her even tighter. He kissed her forehead and said gently, "Don't be sad, I won't leave you." "I'm not sad," Sima Yue said. Her nose was still sore. Being surrounded by him so gently, her heart wasn't as strong as usual. "Hehe." Wu Lingyu laughed. He leaned over and kissed her lips, kissing away her words and emotions. After a long time, he finally let go of her. Seeing her red and swollen lips and dazed eyes, he smiled with satisfaction. Sima Yue saw his smiling eyes and pinched his waist. She threatened, "Don't laugh." "I'm not laughing," Wu Lingyu denied. Sima Yue snorted with a straight face. "You're not laughing, you're almost laughing out loud. Heaven and earth can be my witness, I'm really not laughing." Wu Lingyu carried her to sit on a stool and let her sit on his lap. "I'm just very happy that you won't be willing to part with me." "I'm not," a certain person denied in a small voice. "It's good that I know whether you are or not," Wu Lingyu said. Sima Yue didn't want to argue with him. She hugged his neck. "I was serious just now. You should go back to the devil world." "No need, they can still handle it." Wu Lingyu was already very hesitant. Seeing her like that just now, he was even more reluctant to leave her. He could just leave everything else to others. "But, don't worry, I know what to do. If the situation really goes out of control, I will go back. It's not that bad yet, so let me accompany you more." Wu Lingyu pinched her face. "When have I ever ignored the big picture? But, there are no buts. You have to believe that my subordinates aren't all trash. You just have to take care of your own matters," Wu Lingyu said in a domineering tone. @250_left. She leaned her head against his neck and smelled the familiar scent on his body. Her restless heart slowly calmed down. No matter how powerful others thought she was, No matter how strong she usually thought she was, she still wanted to rely on him. Even if he didn't do anything, she was still confident. Wu Lingyu felt that her emotions had calmed down. He turned his head and planted a kiss on her forehead, the corners of his mouth rising into a faint smile. In the following days, Sima Yue felt that Wu Lingyu was even busier. She would not see her for a few days and would leave after a short while. She wanted to go with Wu Lingyu, but Wu Lingyu didn't want her to worry about his matters. He only wanted her to do her own things, so he always left alone. She decided to find the Ghost King and rescue her mother as soon as possible, so that she could follow him to the devil world. This way, he would have no reason to refuse her. She went to the place where the Ghost King was in seclusion. She did not expect to see an Onihime there, whom she had not seen since she came back. Speaking of which, the last time she met Onihime was when she tricked Yu Hao. After she was struck by lightning, she was locked up for 3 days. It was said that she was in a sorry state when she came out. However, she did not come to find trouble with her. To be more precise, she did not openly find trouble with her. At that time, everyone knew that she could not be provoked. However, Onihime did make a lot of moves in private. It was just that they did not have any effect. Onihime also did not expect to meet Sima Yue here. When she thought about how came to find her a few days ago and said that he gave the human furnace to Sima Yue, and asked her not to pursue the matter, she was angry. The grandson she held in her hands was so timid when he talked about Sima Yue. It was all her fault for scaring Howard too much. She concealed the killing intent in her eyes and said with a calm face, "This is the place where the king is in seclusion. What are you doing here?" "Of course I'm here to find grandfather." Sima Yue was too lazy to even bow. Anyway, both parties knew that it was impossible for them to shake hands and make peace, so there was no need for them to do such things. "The king is in seclusion and will not see you," Onihime said. "You should leave quickly and not disturb the king's seclusion." "If that's the case, what are you doing here, Queen?" Sima Yue asked back. "I'm here to see if there's anything I can help the king," Onihime said. "Oh, I'm also here to see if there's anything I can help grandfather," Sima Yue said. "Although I'm not strong enough, grandfather's strength is already the strongest. So if I want to help him, I can't just rely on strength." Onihime looked at Sima Yue and narrowed her eyes. Sima Yue looked at her calmly. Who would be afraid of who if they were competing with eyes? If her eyes were not strong enough, she could make up for it with her age. Onihime walked to her side and looked at her with disdain. She laughed coldly. "You think you'll be fine after finding the king? I'll remember all the things you've done." "Yue didn't do anything." Sima Yue blinked innocently. "Did I do something to make the queen angry? You know that I'm young and immature. If there's anything I've done wrong, please point it out to me. I'll definitely change in the future." Sima Yue's gaze was very pure, as if she really did not know what she had done. After saying that, she even smiled at Onihime. "If you have the ability, then say it out and let everyone know what you've done. Then we'll see who's the one who's embarrassed." Onihime could see the teasing in her eyes. Just as Sima Yue thought, she did not dare to say those things. If she did, she would only embarrass herself. Because of this, she was even angrier. She wanted to strangle this little slut to death every minute and every second. "Let's wait and see. Let's see how long you can be happy for." She was afraid that she would want to hit her if she continued, so she left with her people after saying those threatening words. "I'll let you be happy now. Anyway, you won't be happy for long. Yue, please send me off." Sima Yue said those words, but her body did not move at all. She watched as Onihime left, and the smile on her face slowly disappeared. The way Onihime looked at her just now was too abnormal. It was as if she was certain of something, which made her uneasy. She had to do a thorough investigation. "Little princess." The guard who had been quiet suddenly spoke, interrupting her thoughts. "Grandfather is in closed-door cultivation?" Sima Yue asked. "Yes," the guard replied. But before King went into closed-door cultivation, he met Lord Mou. King said that if little princess has already broken through to Underworld Paragon, you can go and find Lord Mou. "Find Mou? Yes, King said that the answer you want is with Lord Mou. The guard replied. Is MOU in the capital? I don't know. How's grandfather's situation? After King went into closed-door cultivation, there's no news, so we don't know. I got it. If there's any news from grandfather, inform me immediately. Yes, little princess. Before King went into closed-door cultivation, he said that if he was not around, they would only listen to Sima Yue, so they would carry out her orders well. Chapter 2072. Sima Yue went to the Mo family's power in the capital. Mou used to live here, but he happened to be away these days. He didn't know that she would return to the capital at this time. The people of the Mo family told her that they would help her contact Mou, but they couldn't guarantee when he would come back. Sima Yue knew Mou's erratic whereabouts and didn't force them, just let them do their best. Then she returned to the palace. As soon as she returned, Xiu came to report to her. Little Princess, Sponge said that she wants to come and thank you. Sponge has recovered? Sima Yue remembered that Sponge had been brought back for a long time. The first time she treated Sponge, but later it was Starfish who treated her. Starfish learned her medical skills and poison skills very well in the Spirit Pagoda. She has almost recovered, so she wants to thank you, Xiu replied. Then let her come. Sima Yue felt that she had nothing to do, so it was better to meet this little girl. Xiu went out and ordered, then came back and stood behind Sima Yue. Master, do you want to leave Sponge? What do you think? Sima Yue asked. This slave has no idea, but I think she is a good person. However, her identity is a bit sensitive. After all, the queen bought her, and she was abused by the little highness. Although she is now given to the little princess, he didn't say anything, but as long as he sees Sponge appear in front of him, it will remind him of the past. Xiu expressed her opinion. Sima Yue raised an eyebrow. So? This slave's personal opinion is that Sponge can stay, but she can't stay with the master, nor can she stay in the palace. Xiu said. Look at you, you have thought of a good place for her. Sima Yue smiled. Tell me about it. The general has a special place to train people. As long as they can stick to it, they will be very powerful when they come out. Xiu said. Cousin's training camp? I heard that it is very strict there. Sima Yue said. Although Sponge has the same physique, she's not much older than Starfish and the others. She's also been through all these years, so she doesn't have much strength. Can we go to that place? The other side will make a plan according to her situation. Although it's very harsh, as long as she has perseverance, she can persevere. I believe she can do it. Xiu was more confident in Sponge. In fact, this way out was something that they had come up with together. Starfish and Shi both felt that it was too dangerous for Sponge to stay in the palace, and it would bring trouble to Sima Yue. It was best for Sponge to leave the palace. It was Lung Feng's idea to go to Dija's place. He had talked a lot with Di Jojo last time, so he knew something about the Di family army. Therefore he made such a suggestion. Shi didn't quite agree and felt a little worried, but the others thought it was a good idea. It was not good for him to stay by Sima Yue's side or in the palace. It was not safe for him to go out without a strong place. It was best for him to go to Dija's training camp. Starfish came in with Sponge. Sponge knelt down in front of Sima Yue, kowtowed 3 times and said, Thank you for saving my life, little princess. Get up. Sima Yue let her get up. It seems that you have recovered well. Starfish and the others can rest assured. I know that little princess saved me for Starfish and the others. Starfish and the others are lucky to be able to follow a master like you. Sponge felt lucky for them that they did not experience the same thing as her. I heard that you have already discussed it. Are you sure you want to go to my cousin's place? Sima Yue asked her. If little princess agrees, I want to go, Sponge said. If little princess asks me to do something else, I am willing. She was not one of Sima Yue's people now, but she would listen to Sima Yue. If you think you can persist, it is indeed better to go there. At least when you come out, you will have the strength to protect yourself, Sima Yue said. I will inform my cousin's side and ask them to pick you up later. Thank you, little princess, Sponge said gratefully. She wanted to go to Dija's training camp. Even though she had suffered for more than 20 years, she had heard the legends about it. The devilish training, the generous training resources, as long as the people who went in could survive, they could be called masters. However, the process took a long time, so there were not many people who came out of the training camp. If you go to my cousin's side, you will be his person in the future, Sima Yue reminded her. She did not need too many people. She wanted Sponge to go there and treat Deja as her master. Sponge understands. She knew what Sima Yue meant. She would be Deja's person in the future. He was her only master. She would only listen to him and could not have two masters at the same time. Then you should have a good chat with the starfish and Haishi. We will not see each other for a long time, Sima Yue said. Thank you, little princess. The starfish and Sponge went out. Sima Yue asked Shiyu to invite De in. De and De were Deja's housekeepers. They were in charge of everything. Therefore, Deja usually did not take them with him when he left. When De entered the palace, Sima Yue told him about Sponge's situation. De had never seen Sponge before. However, he was the one who went through the investigation. Therefore, he naturally knew about Sponge's situation. Little princess, I can arrange for her to go in. However, the training there is too intense. She is a girl. Is it good for her to go there? De said. Are you afraid that she will not be able to persist? Sima Yue asked. Yes, even many men couldn't persevere in there, De admitted. How do you know if you don't try? Sima Yue said. Maybe she will be able to persist. Since little princess says so, I will take her there. De agreed. I have already told her that once she goes there, she will be one of my cousin's people. In the future, other than the news of life and death, there is no need to tell me anything, Sima Yue said. The news of death was only to let the starfish and the others know about Sponge's situation. De understood what she meant and nodded his head. Sima Yue asked Shiyu to bring Sponge and hand her to De. De took her away. The starfish and Haishi sent them out. When the two came back, their eyes were a little red. She is very lucky to be like this. Shiyu comforted the two. We understand. It's just that when we think of being separated again after such a short time, we are a little sad. The starfish pursed his lips and made himself smile. Lung Yin came in from the outside and saluted to Sima Yue. Little princess, Lord Mou is here. Sima Yue was stunned. She had just returned to the palace from the Mo clan, and he came here. This speed was too fast. Chapter 2073. Was there even a need to consider such a good thing? Of course, the old man was 100% willing. Moreover, this little girl was quite easygoing, so she should not be a difficult person to get along with. Not only would he not have to use a year's worth of labor in exchange for the city entrance fee, but he would also not have to spend a year's worth of his own expenses. Such a good thing could not be found anywhere else. If he rejected it, he would not be a normal person. Looks like you agree. That's it then, Sima Yue said. Thank you so much. The old man was very excited. He knew that Sima Yue was doing this to help him. Being a guide was just a nice way to put it. Sima Yue smiled. She really just wanted to find someone to understand the situation, and the city entrance fee was just a bonus. Since the queue is still long, why don't you tell me about the situation here? All right. Following the old man's explanation, Sima Yue finally knew where she was. Fragrant City, Huawuxiang's second base camp. Most of the time he was not in the imperial capital. If she was lucky, she would be able to meet him here. However, when the old man heard her asking about Huawuxiang, he immediately shattered her fantasies. Commander Hua is definitely not in Fragrant City recently. Why? Recently, the Azure Dragon Spirit Domain Genius Selection Competition will be held. Every time, Commander Mu will personally attend it. If you are chosen by him, you will be able to reach the top in the Spirit Domain in one step. Genius Selection Competition? Where is it held? It seems to be held in a city near the imperial capital. How would we know about this kind of thing? The old man couldn't help but laugh. Isn't this announced? Sima Yue asked in surprise. There's no need to announce it. The truly powerful people are the people in those factions. They already know about it, so there's no need to announce it. What if there are other geniuses? This kind of situation is very rare. You all know what will happen to those souls when they come here. The talented ones will all be chosen. Even if the remaining ones survive, they won't be able to participate in such an event. Since it's a genius selection competition, not everyone can enter. Usually they will be recommended. Alright, there was no need to announce this to the world. Even if there were 1 or 2 geniuses who missed out, it wouldn't matter. Anyway, they couldn't recruit all the geniuses in the world. Is she the only one recruiting? If I remember correctly, there should be 2 commanders here. Are you talking about Muluofeng? He's already recruited. This time it's only Commander Hua who recruited, the old man replied. However, I heard that Commander Hua invited Commander Mu to watch. So they're together now. Should be. But we don't know the whereabouts of the commanders. Who knows if he's still here or not? Regardless of whether he's here or not, I have to go take a look. Sima Yue smiled. There was no news before, but now there was news. They chatted as they slowly walked towards the city. Before the sky turned dark, it was finally their turn. Sima Yue handed over the money for 3 people. The city guard looked at the 3 of them, nodded and let them pass. After they entered the city, he immediately gave up his position to someone else and hurried into the city to report. Sima Yue didn't know that she was being watched. She brought the old man to find an inn. Soon, the news of them checking in was spread to the city lord's mansion. In the mansion, a man in white sat on the main seat. He looked at the person kneeling before him and asked, "Is the news true? Are you sure it's those 2 people?" Envoy Bai, those 2 people are exactly the same as in the portrait, the person kneeling on the ground replied. These people are really bold. They even dare to come to Fragrance-less City after capturing Nan Yu Miao. White Rose sneered. Did you see Nan Yu Miao? Nope. Let me guess. They probably put him in a soul stone. Well, you guys pay close attention to their whereabouts. Although I don't like Nan Yu Miao, he's still the commander's man. Now that he's been arrested, we've all lost face along with him. Be careful, don't let them find out. Yes, Envoy Bai. The person kneeling on the ground got up and left. After the guard beside White Rose left, she complained. Master, why didn't you take the opportunity to get rid of him? Instead, you wasted your energy to save him? Save him? Who said I was going to save him? White Rose sneered. I just wanted to avenge him. He's the governor of a city after all, and he's following the same commander. I understand. Nan Yu Miao was not dead yet, and she already said that she wanted to avenge him. There was no doubt whether he could survive or not. There was only one ending waiting for him. They didn't know whether they would be the mastermind in the end. Sima Yue stayed in the city for 2 days. Seeing the fine weather every day, she asked oldly, Uncle Li, will the wind really blow like you said? I think the weather is quite good. It doesn't look like it's going to blow. She wanted to find Hua Wuxiang as soon as possible. If there was no wind, she wanted to go there immediately after finding out the news. Don't just look at it. There are no signs. 3 days, it won't be more than 3 days later. The wind is coming, Old Li said with certainty. Sima Yue saw that he was so sure, so she did not say anything else. Miss, do you want to participate in the genius selection? Old Li asked. Sima Yue nodded. Looking for Hua Wuxiang and the genius selection seemed to be the same. So be it if he misunderstood. It was not convenient to tell him about this anyway. Baidu sister-in-law semi. Float Sheng extremely pampered wife. Miracle Doctor 5th young mistress, you don't have to rush. The genius selection will last for quite some time. We can rush there after the wind is over, Old Li said. Of course, we have to know the location of the selection first. That shouldn't be a problem. Isn't this Hua Wuxiang's base camp? Sima Yue said confidently. Others might not know about it, but in a place like the base camp, his people would definitely know more. It would be easier to find out information. However, what troubled her more was that the scarlet wasps would not be as useful in the future. According to Wu Lingyu's guess, it should be because the soul race did not have life, so they would be more sensitive to the appearance of living things. After all, the scarlet wasps could only hide their auras, but not their lives. This was a major obstacle for her to find out information. It was also because of this that those who were in the city had come out to see if they could get any information. Wu Lingyu sat by the window, looked at the street outside, and frowned slightly. Chapter 2074. Although he did not make it obvious, Sima Yue still noticed it. What's wrong? What did you see? Nothing. Wu Lingyu did not intend to tell her. She did not need to know about such trivial matters. However, Sima Yue knew him too well. She understood immediately after he said that. However, both of them had the same thought. It was just a trivial matter. Old Man Li did not have such tacit understanding. He saw that Sima Yue was a little absent-minded and asked, "We have been sitting here for more than an hour, and have not heard any useful information. Do you want to try another tea house?" Sima Yue shook her head. No need. When she was in Happiness City, she realized that people here did not like to drink tea. To be exact, people who had not condensed a physical body could not drink tea. As for those who condensed a physical body, perhaps due to physical reasons, they were not keen on drinking tea. Therefore, such tea houses were very rare. If it were not for the fact that this was Hua Wuxiang's base camp, perhaps even the few tea houses they went to today would not have it. Therefore, she did not get the information she wanted from these tea houses. Although she was a little disappointed, she was not surprised. Fragrant City was managed very well. Perhaps it was because this was his headquarters, and those people were forbidden from discussing his matters. What about the information we want? Old Man Li asked worriedly. He was not worried that Sima Yue would miss the preliminaries. He was just worried that Sima Yue would not go there, and thus not hire him. She had promised to cover his expenses for a year. This way he could save a lot of money. This method won't work. Let's think of something else. Anyway, there are still 3 days before the wind season comes, and at least half a month before it comes. We will get the news eventually. We have been out for a day. Let's go back and rest first. They returned to the inn where they were staying. In order to avoid being noticed, they only asked for 2 rooms. Once Sima Yue returned to her room, she asked, "Is it the city lord's mansion or Hua Wuxiang's?" "I can't tell. But we have been targeted since the beginning," Wu Lingyu said. "It seems that there are more people today. Could it be that they can't wait to make their move?" Sima Yue frowned. Now was not a good time. The wind season was coming. If they left the city at this time, no matter where they were, they would not be able to arrive in 2 days. They had not experienced the wind season before, so they did not know how powerful it was. But when they thought about the endless stream of people entering the city, they knew that it was not going to be easy. They did not want to experience it unless it was necessary. @_250_left. But 2 days ago, there were not so many people monitoring them. Now that the number of people had increased, did it represent the attitude of the ruler here? I can't say for sure. Let's wait and see. Wu Lingyu was not confident. Hua Wuxiang's people should know about what happened in Happiness City. Although they have been monitoring us, there has been no movement. This means that their attitude is also ambiguous. Yes. If they really come, there is nothing to worry about. At most, we can just hide in the small world. Yes. Tomorrow, I will go to the governor's office and the governor's office to take a look. Since they could not get information from the tea house, they had to think of another way. It seems that we can only do this now. The next day, they dropped Old Man Li off at the inn, and both of them left the inn. The people monitoring them immediately followed them. But after a while, they realized that they had lost the 2 people. The 2 people following them looked around. After making sure that they had lost the 2 people, they went back with sullen faces. They did not expect to lose the 2 people so quickly. They were afraid that they would be in trouble when they went back. When White Rose heard that they had lost the 2 people, she only stayed silent for a second. Then, the guards beside her pulled out their swords and chopped the 2 people into ashes. Useless trash. White Rose's face darkened. Even if she killed these 2 people, she would not be able to vent her anger. Ambassador Bai, do you want to send someone else? The butler of the city lord's mansion asked. Even if we send someone else, we won't be able to find them. White Rose was not very interested in the whereabouts of Sima Yue and the others. What made him angry was that these people were so easily found. Now Sima Yue had ditched his men. This was a direct slap to his face. Ambassador Bai, it seems that they have found us. Should we make the first move to gain the upper hand? White Rose did not make a decision immediately. Instead, she asked, what happened in the City Lord's mansion? Their people have also been found. If they hadn't sent someone to spy on them, they wouldn't have. The people of the City Lord's mansion. White Rose's eyes were filled with coldness. It seemed that she had been holding a grudge against the people of the City Lord's mansion for a long time. When will the City Lord come out? According to the movement from the cultivation room, it should be within these 2 days. It should not be more than half a month. The butler replied. The wind season is coming soon. It is not a good thing to advance at this time. Our City Lord also understands this. That is why he asked Ambassador Bai to help. Thinking of the City Lord who was about to advance, White Rose suppressed the anger in her heart and said, continue to send people to Sima Yue. Stay away from them. The butler and the guards understood that she did not want to touch Sima Yue for the time being. It was really not a good time. However, from now until the end of the wind season, people could only enter the city, but not leave. During this period of time, they could only stay in the city. Once the City Lord was promoted, she would have the time and energy to deal with them. Ambassador Bai, about the governor's mansion. The butler mentioned the governor's mansion. They had a rough idea of Sima Yue's strength. Although they did not put her in their eyes, it would still be difficult to take them down in the city. Most importantly, it would cause a huge commotion. It was very likely that it would affect the City Lord's promotion. Therefore, at this time, not only could they not make a move, even the governor's mansion could not make a move. However, the City Lord's mansion and the governor's mansion were not on good terms recently. If they were to ask them now, they might not listen. White Rose knew about the grudges between the two sides, and understood the butler's worries. He was silent for a while and said, restrain the people from the City Lord's mansion. I will talk to the governor's mansion. 360 Search Bienfu. Asterisk Sheng. Calm doting wife. 5th Miss Miracle Doctor Update Fast. Thank you, Ambassador Bai. The butler bowed to him gratefully. As long as he made a move, there would be no problem. Speaking of which, why did you two have a grudge against each other? The butler hesitated for a while and said, actually, it has something to do with the genius selection. Why is it related to this? The genius selection this time is being held in Great Liang, not here. Why is there a dispute because of this? So it was in Great Liang. The two people who heard the news in secret laughed silently. Chapter 2075. Sima Yue was not interested in the feud between the governor's office and the governor's office. In order not to be discovered, the two of them left quietly after they heard the news. But even so, they were almost discovered when they left. After returning, Sima Yue asked about the Great Liang City. Old Man Li was shocked. Are you sure it's the Great Liang City? Seeing Old Man Li's reaction, Sima Yue asked curiously, what's wrong with the Great Liang City? You don't know about the Great Liang City. Old Man Li sighed in his heart. The surrounding areas of the imperial capital are all flat and comfortable. Only the area around the Great Liang City is not only uneven, but there are also many dangerous places. Moreover, it's very strange. There are some places where people will disappear as they walk. So strange? Yes, and no matter how powerful the people are, they won't be able to find out the reason. As long as the people disappear, they will never appear again. Old Man Li was a little scared when he thought about this situation. Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu looked at each other. They had the same curiosity and fear in their hearts. It seemed that the Soul Society was really different from other places. There were terrifying winds and a place like the Great Liang City. Since the Great Liang City is so dangerous, why is the genius selection held there? Sima Yue didn't understand. Is it to better select the geniuses? I don't think so. Wu Lingyu shook his head. Although they are geniuses, I don't think they are very strong. It's fine to lose 1 or 2 people, But if many people die, it won't be worth it. The real geniuses had already chosen their masters, or had already started working for the Soul Society. They wouldn't have to wait for the selection. Therefore, the people who participated in the selection were naturally young and talented. However, the young people here were not calculated according to their age. They were calculated according to the time they came to the Soul Society. Sima Yue thought about it and agreed. If everyone died or disappeared, it would be a great loss. Then why did he choose such a dangerous place? This time Old Manly asked. She couldn't think of a reason either. Only the people in power would know. Maybe we will know something when we go there, Wu Lingyu said. You guys still want to go there? Old Manly looked at them in surprise. Since we know where the genius selection is, of course we have to go there, Sima Yue said with certainty. Do you guys know that there are other dangers there besides these? I don't have to think to know. But this won't stop us. Sima Yue smiled. Moreover, how can there be so many safe places in this world? Look at how many people are safe today, but tomorrow, they will be dead. A safe place doesn't mean there is no danger, and a dangerous place doesn't mean it is not safe. Uncle Lee, shouldn't you feel this way the most? Old Manly's body trembled. Sima Yue was right. Lone cultivators like them could feel it the most. If they were still alive today, who knew if they would come back tomorrow? Even if they were in a safer place, wouldn't they still face all kinds of dangers? Just like the gale this time, he had no money. He would either be blown to death by the gale, or he could only agree to do a year of forced labor. Either way, he would die. Who knew what it would be like in Daliang City? Maybe he could even fight for a way out. But Sima Yue saw his uncertain expression and thought that he was unwilling. She said, If you don't want to go, we won't force you. After all, the road ahead is too dangerous. It's not that I don't want to go, but I don't know much about that place. But I have a friend there. If I go there, I can find her to understand the local situation. Old Manly calculated in his heart and chose to go with them. It'll be easier if you have a friend. Sima Yue smiled. It would be much easier to leave the information to the locals if it was difficult for outsiders to inquire about it. Then we can set off when the wind is over, Old Manly said. Seeing Sima Yue nod, his heart was finally at ease. He was really afraid that she would not bring him along. 2 days later, the originally clear sky suddenly changed. It turned from a sunny day to a gale in just a few minutes. When the wind started blowing, all the city gates were closed, and the city defense formation was immediately activated. People who had not entered the city in time were blocked outside the city. When the wind blew, they were all blown into the sky. Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu stood by the window and watched the people who were blown into the sky disappear in a few seconds. They sighed at the power of the wind. Uncle Lee is right, this wind is indeed a bit scary. If we were outside with my strength, I might not be able to withstand it without a trump card, Sima Yue sighed. This wind is so strange. It seems to be rising from the ground. Wu Lingyu had never seen such a situation before. That's right. I don't know what's going on. And I heard from Uncle Lee that only the Azure Dragon Soul Realm has this. The other 3 places don't have it. Sima Yue was a little curious, but she did not have the energy to investigate it now. If you are interested, you can slowly investigate after we rescue your mother. Okay. She could only be curious now. When the wind is over, we will probably have to deal with those people, Wu Lingyu said. I wonder who will come first, the city lord's office or the governor's office. Old Manly was now on the street, looking up at those people who were blown into the sky by the wind. A few of them were people he knew. He watched them struggle in the wind for a few times before they were torn apart by the wind. They turned into black smoke and disappeared forever. If he did not meet Sima Yue, if he did not want to serve as a slave, he would have ended up the same as them. So what if Daliang City was dangerous? At least he had a chance to survive. Even if he could not escape death in the end, he would still live for a few more days. He closed his eyes. When he opened them again, there was no more hesitation in his eyes. He turned around and returned to the inn. He wanted to tell Sima Yue something he knew. Sima Yue was surprised to hear his words. You said you found a mineral vein outside Daliang City? Is it true? Sima Yue asked. It's true. Old Manly nodded heavily. If it wasn't for this, I wouldn't have stayed there for so many years. Didn't you say that you are not familiar with that place? How did you know there was a mineral vein outside the city? Wu Lingyu asked. Because the incident was too tragic. We don't want to think about it again. It was that incident that made me realize that there are many places over there that people can disappear unknowingly. Recalling the situation at that time, he could not help but shudder. Chapter 2076. Old Manly recounted the events of the past slowly, his voice trembling with fear. I entered Daliang Mountain with them. Everything was fine at first, but when we arrived at the ore mine, we realized that there really was the aura of a mineral vein there. We went crazy. As a rogue cultivator, you guys probably can't imagine how difficult it is to live here. That's why when danger came, none of us realized it. More than half of us died one after another. Only then did we recover from our madness. This isn't a treasure trove, it's a forbidden land of death. Hence, some people started to retreat. The rest of us split into two groups. Some wanted to go back, and some wanted to open up the mine. We thought that even the two of us were going to die in there, but we didn't expect to escape in the end. After confirming that we had left that area and could no longer feel the chill, we were sure that we were really alive. Old Manly continued. After that, I left that place. My friend went to Daliang City. We would occasionally contact each other. He said that the place was discovered by others later on. However, those people ended up the same as us. They didn't get anything. Moreover, many of them were completely wiped out. None. But they've been put under surveillance, Old Manly said. It's not impossible. Wu Lingyu also thought of this. Hee, I wonder if they have the ability to solve this problem. Sima Yue smiled somewhat devilishly. Of course. How could she ignore the fact that she knew the whereabouts of the treasure? This was too unlike her style. With their current hostile relationship, of course she hoped that they could not do it. As long as it could affect Mahi a little, she would be willing to do it. Old Manly saw that the two of them still wanted to go to the mineral vein. He was shocked and blurted out. I'm telling you this so that you can have a certain understanding of the other side, so that you can be a little mentally prepared. We know, but how can we just give up when we know that there's a treasure? We know, that's why we didn't plan to go to Daliang City as soon as we arrived, Sima Yue said seriously. And Chapter 2077. Sima Yue walked around Midnight City. She was not used to seeing so many spirits floating around. Although she was the same as well. There were no tea houses or restaurants here. People who had not materialized their physical bodies could not drink or eat. However, there were many shops. Especially the things that could increase one's strength. Although they were expensive, they were very popular. Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu suppressed their strength. Hence, they looked like ordinary people. Even when they went to the shops, no one greeted them. After walking around, they returned to the inn and realized that someone had entered their room. The things in the room seemed to be the same as before. However, Sima Yue was very sensitive to details. Not to mention, there was a faint smell in the room. Wu Lingyu went to open the window to let the smell dissipate. This smell is familiar. I seem to have smelled it somewhere before. Sima Yue recalled. She remembered a face that was hidden in a beard. Seems like someone is very interested in us. Not us. It's you. Wu Lingyu said. My soul doesn't have such a seductive smell. Sima Yue shrugged. Are you blaming me? Her soul had a seductive smell. She knew it when she met Yudu in the Wonderland. When she was in the ghost realm, only a few people would consume souls. Furthermore, she had a high status and was very strong. Hence, no one dared to do anything to her. Now that she was in the Soul Society, special souls would be noticed. Even if she suppressed her strength and aura, she still could not escape the nose of some special people. She knew that there would be people interested in her soul when she came here. However, she did not expect it to be so fast. This was just a city at the border. If they went deeper into the Soul Society, they would probably meet many more people. Buzz buzz buzz. Suddenly, A sound came from the sky outside the city and interrupted their conversation. They looked out of the window and saw many people rushing out of the city. What's going on? They all look very excited. Sima Yue looked at the crowd below. Let's go and take a look. Wu Lingyu pulled her and flew out. They landed on the street and joined the group. The noises in the air continued to ring out. They realized that the more time passed, the more agitated the people around them became. They kept running outside, and no one was willing to stop even if they wanted to find someone to ask. When they reached the outskirts of the city, Sima Yue finally understood why these people were so excited. In a huge open space, some faint shadows appeared. The wounds on their bodies were still fresh, indicating that they had just arrived. She and Wu Lingyu looked at each other. This was the first time they had encountered such a situation. Those souls were still in a daze and didn't know where they were. Sima Yue saw many people swallowing their saliva as they stared at the souls with sparkling eyes. She thought that they would go up and divide the souls among themselves, but they held themselves back and did not move. Where is this? Who are we? Why are there so many people here? Hundreds of souls stood in place, not knowing where they were, not knowing who they were, and not knowing what they were going to face. But in the face of such a situation, their instincts made them afraid. They wanted to escape, but an army immediately ran over and surrounded them. Who are you? What are you doing? Don't hurt us. Let us go. The soldiers didn't pay any attention to their words. The leader of the soldiers shouted, "Test your talent." A few people came out from behind the soldiers and came to the open space. They held blood-red stones, approached the souls, and extended the testing stones into their bodies. Even if they were souls, they were still normal life forms in the world of spirits and souls. When a hand and a stone were inserted into their bodies, those people cried out in pain. Some of the weaker souls couldn't even withstand such power, and directly turned into smoke and dissipated. And for those who could withstand such power, the testing stones began to change color when they entered their bodies. The lowest level only emitted red light, and the stronger the soul power, the lighter the color. There were a total of 7 levels, and according to the people around them, it seemed that the strongest test stone would turn white. But there was no one with such talent in this group of people. After the test was over, the souls that changed for levels were taken away by the soldiers, and the remaining 70 to 80 souls stayed where they were, not knowing what to do. Sima Yue noticed that the eyes of the people around them were becoming more and more fanatical, and she pulled Wu Lingyu out. After the soldiers left, the people who were still in order just now became crazy, and flew towards those souls. Someone caught the souls, used the power of the underworld to suppress them into a small ball, and then ate them directly. Sima Yue felt a little disgusted. No wonder these people were so excited when they heard the commotion. So this was their plan. She and Wu Lingyu stood at a distance and watched for a while, then turned around and returned to the city. Before they reached the city, they were stopped by someone. It was the bearded man. Kikik. Those people are so stupid, they don't want such delicious souls but go for those fresh souls? The bearded man laughed and looked at her with greed. It's you. Sima Yue looked at him, not surprised at all. But when she thought about how someone like this entered her house, she felt disgusted. When she went back, she must ask the shopkeeper to change her room to a clean one. She smiled coldly. You followed us from the city to the outside, and then followed us from the outside to here, and now you finally can't hold it in anymore. You knew that I was following you. The bearded man's heart sank. You came here on purpose. You're not too stupid, Sima Yue said. I didn't expect you to follow us so easily. How did you find me? The bearded man didn't believe it. He was very good at hiding. How did they find him? Your stench can be smelled from a few hundred miles away. If we can't find you, we don't need to stay in the Soul Society anymore. Sima Yue laughed coldly. You dare to have ideas about me, then you should be prepared to die. Although the bearded man was surprised that Sima Yue was so sensitive to smell, he didn't think that she was very powerful. How strong could a soul that didn't even have a physical body be? Thus, he didn't take the two of them seriously. He was still fantasizing about eating Sima Yue to increase his strength. But before he could do anything, he felt that he couldn't move. Suppression. He looked at Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu in shock. He didn't expect them to be so powerful. Seeing the two of them walking over slowly, he felt that he heard the call of death. Chapter 2078. This full-bearded man wasn't a powerful person. Wu Lingyu casually dealt with him in one move. Sima Yue searched his memories before he disappeared. Originally, he just wanted to look through these people's memories and understand the situation here. After searching his memories, she was glad that she did so. Did you find any good news? Wu Lingyu knew that she was not happy just by looking at the corner of her eyes. I know where the first prey is. Sima Yue smiled. Her unhappiness from being followed by the bearded man dissipated. Our luck is so good. Wu Lingyu raised his eyebrows. I think so too, our luck is really good. Sima Yue went over and held his arm. Let's go back and ask the shopkeeper to change a room. We will go to Happiness City in 2 days. Okay. Happiness City was not far from Midnight City, but there was a huge difference in their levels. Midnight City was just a border city, while Happiness City was the heart of the city. However, the people living in Happiness City were not happy. They had to pay a lot of taxes and had to work hard. If they dared to escape, they would be severely punished after being caught. Not many people could survive the punishment. And if outsiders wanted to enter the city, they would have to pay a large entrance fee. In short, in the words of the locals, the mayor of Happiness City was obsessed with money. Even so, there was an endless stream of people who wanted to enter the city. There were long queues at the city gates. Because an imperial emperor had once appeared here. Everyone wanted to come here to seek the Tao and see if they could comprehend anything. Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu were in the queue. This is Happiness City? You want us to wait after queuing for such a long time? What is this? A loud voice came from behind. It was filled with impatience and anger. The queue to enter the city had been quiet. When such a voice came out of nowhere, the people in front turned to look. Young master, don't say that. Be careful of angering the city lord here. An old man beside him quickly pulled him back, afraid that he would say something inappropriate. Am I wrong? The man didn't feel that he had done anything wrong. He tugged at Sima Yue's clothes and said, Young lady, don't you think so? Sima Yue did not want to bother with him, so she did not turn around to look at him. But this guy obviously didn't have that kind of self-awareness. He pulled her once, but she didn't respond, so he pulled her again. Sima Yue turned around and took out her clothes. She said calmly, I think it's good to line up. The man was surprised. Why? Don't you think it's a waste of time to queue up? It's even harder to get in if you don't queue, Sima Yue said. The man sized her up and nodded his head in understanding. I know. For someone as weak as you, if you don't line up, you probably won't even be able to touch the city gate. Sima Yue gave him a you-know-what-I-mean look and turned around. But it was obvious that the man didn't want to let her go. He tugged at her clothes again and said, Why don't you follow me? I'll bring you in. How about you don't line up with me? Sima Yue took back her clothes and said word by word, Nothing much. You're not tempted? The man was surprised. Look at the line in front. It's so long and it's moving like a snail. It'll take us at least 1 or 2 hours to get into the city. I have a lot of time. I can afford to wait. Sima Yue said. You have an extraordinary aura, so you must have a good background? You can try. Who knows, you might be able to get in earlier. Your eyesight is not bad. I'm Luo Yi, the young master of. Anyway, I'm very powerful. If you follow me, I'll definitely be able to bring you in. How about it, do you want to follow me? Sima Yue glanced at him. Wasn't this guy a little too friendly? She looked at the old man behind him. He didn't seem surprised at all, and there was a deep sense of helplessness in his eyes. It was really pitiful to have such a young master. I'm sorry, let's continue to line up. Wu Lingyu stood in front of Sima Yue and blocked Luo Yi's view. Luo Yi's face fell when the beauty in front of him was suddenly blocked. Who are you? I'm her husband, Wu Lingyu said casually. Sima Yue didn't refute him and even held his arm. Luo Yi looked at their hands and was stunned. Then he said, All right, I can't blame you for not knowing the rules. Since the two of you are together, Do you want to join our line? Sima Yue, Wu Lingyu, the old man. Sima Yue looked at him and was deeply suspicious. This guy's brain was wired differently from others. I'm sorry, we don't have the habit of cutting the line. Wu Lingyu rejected him directly. If you want to go, you can go by yourself. Then he and Sima Yue turned back. You too? Luo Yi stared at the back of their heads. He was so angry that he couldn't say a word. The old man took the opportunity to persuade him. Young master, since they are lining up, why don't we line up too? Young master, have you forgotten what the sect master told us before we came out? If you want to train well, you have to keep a low profile. Also, we have to treat Happiness City sincerely. Sima Yu laughed when she heard this from the front. She could tell at a glance that this combination was an ignorant young master and an old guard. It was certain that this guard wasn't an ordinary guard. Luo Yi thought for a while. He wanted to see Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu, so he agreed unwillingly. While waiting, Sima Yue finally saw a man who was a gossipy woman. But under his overly enthusiastic attitude, they still found out a lot about this place. I know that you two are from a small place and definitely don't know the history of Happiness City. Although this is my first time here, I have been here many times. This time, I finally got permission to leave the sect. This is the first place I came to. Let me tell you, Happiness City had a celestial emperor. It is said that if people from the Soul Society want to improve, they have to obtain the celestial emperor's inheritance, and find a way to do so. Sima Yue was annoyed by his constant nagging. Even if she ignored him and showed him the back of her head, he would still continue to chatter in her ear. So you are also here to gain enlightenment? Of course not. Surprisingly, he actually denied it. Didn't you say that you have been here for a long time? Aren't you here for the celestial emperor? That's right, I am not thinking about the celestial emperor. I just want to see the people who are still alive. Chapter 2079. Stop Show 3. What do you mean by a person who's been bragged about? Sima Yue was interested and turned to chat with him. Don't you know? Oh, you're also here for the former emperor. Luo Yi dragged his voice. Of course not. She was here for her prey. Sima Yue smiled and did not say anything. Actually, there's nothing to be embarrassed about. 99% of the people who come here are here for the enlightenment of the emperor. Luo Yi looked as if he understood. You haven't told me who's the person who's being bragged about. Sima Yue asked. Who else could it be? It's the young master of Happiness City, Nan Yuji. Luo Yi's voice was filled with contempt when he mentioned Nan Yuji, as if he was very dissatisfied. You sound so jealous. How did he offend you? Sima Yue asked. If an ordinary person were to hear this, they would probably be infuriated. Even those who were more magnanimous would feel unhappy. However, Luo Yi was not angry at all. He even waved his hands and said, You don't know. It's fine if people say that Nan Yuji is handsome. But they also say that he's more elegant, gentle, and kind than me. They say that he's so much better. I just want to see if he's really that good. Sima Yue understood. It must be because people often compared the two of them. That's why he cared so much. I say, little girl, come with me after you enter the city. You can be witnesses and see if he's really better than me. Luo Yi said. Sima Yue did not want to at first, but when she thought of Nan Yuji's identity, she changed her mind and nodded. Okay, but I heard that this city is not safe. You have to protect us. No problem. With me here, no one can hurt you. Luo Yi patted his chest and promised. The old man behind them could not even stop them in time. However, it was just a subconscious reaction. He quickly regained his composure. Luo Yi noticed the old man's reaction. He did not feel that he did anything wrong. Instead, he smiled at him and introduced them. This is Sixth Uncle. Sima Yue and the rest nodded at Sixth Uncle. Sixth Uncle returned the greeting. The procession slowly moved forward, and they finally reached where they were. Sima Yue gave the two of them's entrance fee to the guard. The guard gave them a token. If they were to be checked in the city, they could use this token. Sixth Uncle paid the entrance fee for him and Luo Yi. Luo Yi kept muttering about how expensive the entrance fee was. He said that Nanyuji was a beast with a human face and only cared about money. How could such a person have such a good reputation? Sima Yu was used to silence. With such a noisy person beside her ear, she endured it again and again. After being ravaged along the way, she really couldn't take it anymore. She turned around and glared at him. Can't you be a quiet, handsome man? What? Calm. Calm. I'm telling you to be quiet and be a quiet, pretty boy. Sima Yu said, if you want to compete with Nanyuji, you have to change this nagging habit of yours. Really? You never told me that. Of course. Look at my Lingyu. He's so quiet. He can capture the hearts of a bunch of girls just by standing in front of them. If you want to compete with Nanyuji, you have to be a quiet, pretty boy. Otherwise, I'll think that you can't compete with him. Sima Yu said earnestly. Really? Then I'll be a quiet, pretty boy. Luo thought about it seriously. Although he was handsome and had a high status, there were not many girls who flocked to him. But why didn't anyone tell him that before? He wanted to ask Sima Yu, but he stopped when he thought about being a quiet, pretty boy. He would ask her later. He wanted to be quiet for a while. Her ears finally quieted down. She let out a long sigh. She really regretted following him. Luo glanced at her and was secretly shocked. His young master actually listened to her. If he hadn't been following young master and knew that they didn't know each other before, he would have suspected her. They continued walking. Sima Yu and Wu Lingyu wanted to stay at an inn. Luo said generously, let me tell you, the inns here are very expensive. We have a small courtyard here. Since there are only 2 of you, why don't you follow us to the courtyard? Sima Yu blinked. Wu Lingyu's face darkened. Was this guy so nice? Or was he just nice to her? There's no need for that. We still have enough money. He refused without thinking. But you promised to be my judge. How troublesome would it be if you don't come with us? Luo frowned. But we're not related. It's not good to go to your place. Sima Yu said. We're friends. Since we're friends, what's wrong with you staying at our place? Luo didn't understand what they were thinking. Luo knew what they were worried about. He stood up and said, our young master has always been nice. As long as they're his friends, they won't stay at the inn when they're with him. Really? Sima Yu smiled. Then doesn't he often bring people back? Not really. Young master doesn't consider many people as his friends. Luo said. Isn't that even more curious? We've only known each other for 1 or 2 hours. How can he be so picky and treat us as his friends? Because you're sincere. You're not trying to curry favor with me. Luo said. You're sincere to me. That's why I feel that you're my friend. Sima Yu pursed her lips. What a stubborn reason. Hey, go away. Please let him go. His body is about to dissipate. He can't serve the corvée anymore. Let me go, let me go. Ah. Sounds of quarreling could be heard from the street. Sima Yu looked towards the direction of the sound. A few people were arguing with the soldiers. Those people had already materialized. However, one of them seemed to have suffered a lot of damage. The materialized body was a little unstable. One moment it was solid and the next it was illusory. The soldiers wanted to capture everyone, regardless of the condition of their bodies. If this goes on, I'm afraid they'll die after a few days of corvée labor. Sima Yu heard the people around her discussing. But in the city, we have to listen to them. If they want us to serve the corvée, we have to serve. Yeah, who dares to go against them here? Sigh. Those people wanted to resist, but they were pressed to the ground by the soldiers. They couldn't move. A soldier tied them all up. Even the person who was about to dissipate was not spared. Before Sima Yu could say anything, Luo had already run over. She saw Luo's helpless expression and couldn't help but laugh. I recommend my friend Tao Xiaoqing's article, Crazy Doctor. Evil King, come and seduce me. Please leave a comment and recommend a ticket. I'll leave the monthly ticket to you. Ha ha ha, stop show 7. Chapter 2080. Stop show 3. Stop it. Can't you see that this person is dying? Luo Yi went over and shouted at the soldiers. The surrounding people were stunned. Someone actually dared to openly challenge the soldiers? Thinking of the possible situation, they all took a few steps back to avoid being mistaken as his accomplice. Sima Yue looked at Luo Lu sympathetically and asked, "Does he do this often?" "Of course, young master." Luo Lu felt mentally tired. It was his duty to follow the young master out and clean up after him. However, he did whatever he was told not to do. Every time he caused trouble, it was a huge matter. He felt that he would die of exhaustion sooner or later. Although he sighed, he still ran over before Luo Yi got into trouble and negotiated with the soldiers. He took out a token and showed it to the soldiers. The soldiers immediately became respectful. In the end, Luo Yi was fine and that person did not need to serve the corvée. The surrounding people looked at Luo Yi differently. Although they did not see clearly what the token was, they were sure that this person was not ordinary. They did not know which family's young master he was. If they could hook up with him, they would be rich. Luo Yi saw everyone's fanatical gaze and smiled. Just as he was about to open his mouth, he remembered what Sima Yue said. Hence, he remained silent and ignored these people. He walked straight back. Because of his coldness, the surrounding people became even crazier. "Let's leave this place first," Sima Yue said. Whether they followed them or not, it was better for them to leave this place first. Because the gazes of those people were getting more and more fanatical. Luo Yi directly brought the two of them to the small courtyard. Sima Yue did not object. Those people had followed them all the way and already treated the two of them as his people. After entering the small courtyard, Luo Yi's cold face finally relaxed. He made a funny gesture to relax the muscles on his face. "I'm so tired. Don't you think those people are tired of keeping a straight face all day long?" He patted his face. "I only did it for a while, and my face is already so tired. Those people do it all day long. Do they not know how to move their faces?" Then he glanced at Wu Lingyu. "You'll get used to it," Sima Yue answered for Wu Lingyu. "But Yue, you're right. Although I've encountered such situations before, it has never happened. The way they look at me is different from before." Luo Yi was very excited. "Didn't you say it's a small courtyard?" This is... What? What is this? There. Young Master, 6th Elder. 2. If there's no independent courtyard, where will my friends stay? Luo Yi frowned. The closest one is Fenghua Courtyard. It's about 20 minutes away from Bamboo Garden. The butler said. Fenghua Courtyard. You like it? Luo Yi asked. It's okay. Sima Yue smiled. She just didn't expect it to have the same name as Fenghua Courtyard. Since there's no courtyard next to Bamboo Garden, I can only let you stay in Fenghua Courtyard, Luo Yi said. If it's closer, it'll be faster. Sima Yue wanted to say that such a short distance was nothing to cultivators. But thinking of his personality, she was afraid that if she said that, he would chatter nonstop. The butler brought Sima Yue and the others there. Because the news said that Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu were husband and wife, only one room was prepared for them. Sima Yue's eyes twitched when she saw the bed. It seemed like she had dug a hole for herself just now. Wu Lingyu was quite happy and smiled for the first time in a long time. This place is not bad. Let's stay here. If there's anything you need, please let me know. The butler said. Then can I trouble you to give us a map of Happiness City? Sima Yue asked. Sure, I'll get someone to send it over in a while. The butler replied. Then I'll have to trouble you. The butler bowed and left. Wu Lingyu pulled Sima Yue into the house and said, This Luo Yi is quite dull. This is not bad. Sima Yue rolled her eyes at him and looked around the room. The decorations were quite fresh and unique. Seems like this Luo Yi's background is not small. She looked around the house and remembered that Luo Lu only showed the soldier his token, and the matter was resolved. It was obvious that the power behind him was very strong. It should be quite strong. But let's not think about it now. It's already so late. Shouldn't we go to bed? Wu Lingyu asked. Did a cultivator need to sleep? The answer was no. This guy was just taking advantage of her. I'm not sleepy yet. You can sleep by yourself. She wanted to go out after saying that, but Wu Lingyu hugged her. He exerted force and the two of them fell onto the bed. Sima Yue turned around and stared at him. We're both souls. What are you trying to do? Nothing. I'll hug you to sleep. Wu Lingyu wanted to kiss her. Unfortunately, they were souls and there was no physical sensation. Sima Yue pouted. She was disgusted, but her body lay down quietly. After we save your mother, you can go back to your body, right? Wu Lingyu asked. Yes, I should be able to. After you go back to your body, we'll get married. Are you proposing to me? What do you think? There's no ring or rose. No. Then I'll ask you again later. I might not agree even if you ask me again. Can you bear to? What's there to bear? You won't bear to. I won't. I will. In the end, the two of them did not sleep. After a while, a servant brought over a map of Happiness City. Wu Lingyu went out to get the map. The servant was so cold that he wanted to throw the map away and run away. Sima Yue saw this scene at the door and could not help but laugh. This guy, don't make it look like he's not satisfied. It'll cause misunderstandings. Wu Lingyu passed the map to her. The two of them studied it for the whole night. The next morning, Luo Yi came to look for them. Yue, let's go. Where to? To see that Nanyuji, of course. We agreed on it. Don't tell me you forgot about it after one night? Of course not. I just didn't expect you to go so soon. She just did not expect to meet her prey so soon. Stop show 7. Chapter 2081. Stop show 3. Nanyuji was just as the rumors said. He was as gentle as jade, as elegant as orchids, and as handsome as a god. However, Sima Yue knew that he was just a wolf in sheep's clothing. Looking at the situation in Happiness City, she knew that if he was a good person, the people in the city would not be so miserable. But those people were bewitched by his appearance, by his smile, by his occasional concern. Nanyuji felt someone sizing him up. He turned his head and met Sima Yue's eyes. Their eyes met in the air. There were no sparks, only faint smiles. Nanyuji turned his head and frowned. Sima Yue's smile deepened. Everything was as she expected. Although Nanyuji was smiling, there was still coldness and viciousness in his eyes. This person was indeed not a good person. Yue, what do you think? Who is more handsome, me or him? Luo Yi asked her. He's not as handsome as you, Sima Yue said. He's not as handsome as you, but he's not as good as you. Although Luo Yi was a little rash and talkative, he gave off a clean vibe. On the other hand, although Nanyuji looked better and gave people a feeling of gentleness on the surface, she gave people a feeling that she was hiding filth and accepting filth. That was why she felt that Luo Yi was better. When Luo Yi heard her say that, he smiled happily. Right. I knew it. How can this Nanyuji compare to me? Yue, you have good taste. Sima Yue smiled. She just did not care much about appearances. In terms of good looks, they were not as good looking as Wu Lingyu. This was a small gathering organized by Nanyuji. She did not know how Luo Yi got the invitation. Anyways, Nanyuji did not seem to know him. He came over with a wine glass and stood in front of Luo Yi. Although I don't remember inviting you, those who can come here are all my friends. Sima Yue sneered in her heart. Nanyuji's words were clearly mocking Roy. Who would believe that he did not know Roy's identity? But some people couldn't tell. Roy puffed out his chest. Nanyuji, I'm Roy. I'm not your friend. I just came to see what you look like. Now that I've seen you, you're not as good looking as me. You are Luo Yi, the young master of Spirit Arise sect. It's a pleasure to meet you. Nanyuji extended his hand. Roy slapped his hand away and said, I've heard a lot about you too. I didn't expect that I would be able to invite you, one of the 4 young masters of the Soul Society, to my small banquet. I feel honored. Tisk. Don't you appear every time and secretly feel happy? Luo Yi didn't like his fake smile. He didn't care at all. He was obviously a hypocrite. Nanyuji was not angry. He looked at Sima Yue and smiled even more charmingly. May I know this lady's name? Sima Yue. Sima Yue. Nanyuji raised his eyebrows. Are you the Sima Yue that I've heard of? I don't know what you've heard of. I'm just a nobody. If I didn't meet Roy while queuing outside the city, I wouldn't be able to enter such a banquet. So young Master Nan Yuji shouldn't have heard of my name. Sima Yue made up a lie. She didn't know if Nan Yuji believed her, but he didn't continue asking. Instead, he looked at her meaningfully and said, "Do whatever you want. I still have other guests to attend to." "Excuse me." Nan Yuji went to talk to other people. Sima Yue and Roy stayed for a while before leaving. Once they returned to the beast carriage, Roy couldn't pretend to be a handsome man anymore. He started talking to Sima Yue nonstop. "Yue, did you see that? This person is just trying to save face. The people he invited are all rogue practitioners. As long as he treats them well, they will follow him. He's doing this because he wants to recruit more people." "You're right." Sima Yue thought that Roy would only notice Nan Yuji. It seemed like he still had some rationality. "Right? You agree with my point of view. How can such a person be evaluated as one of the 4 young masters? His ranking is even higher than mine. I really don't understand," Roy continued. "I say, do you know about the 4 young masters? Last night, your servant already told me about this." Sima Yue said. Actually, what she wanted to say was, it was fine if Nan Yuji was on the list, but how did Roy get on the list? The Soul Society was well managed by Qing Han. Under the rule of the kingdom, it was divided into 4 sections. In order to be related to the mythical beasts, he named them Vermilion Bird, Black Tortoise, Azure Dragon, and White Tiger. The 4 young masters were the 4 young masters of the Azure Dragon district. It was said that they were evaluated based on their looks, strength, and background. Sima Yue felt that if Roy was quiet, he would definitely not be on the list. "Yue, do you think I'm right? I feel that someone like him shouldn't even be on the list. He's even higher than me. Tell me, I want to." "Roy, if you can maintain your quiet and handsome image, your position will definitely be higher than Nan Yuji," Sima Yue said sincerely. "Alright, I know you despise me for talking too much," Roy said, "but I can't control my mouth. I feel uncomfortable if I don't talk." "You're sick. You have to treat it." "Really? How do I treat it? Do you have a way?" Sima Yue shook her head. This innocent child, Luo Lu, was also depressed. His young master was too gullible. Sima Yue took out a pill. "After eating this, it will reduce your desire to talk, but it won't harm your body." "Really?" Roy took the pill and looked at it carefully. He even put it under his nose and smelled it. Then, before Luo Lu could react, he swallowed it. The pill melted in his mouth. Luo Lu couldn't make him spit it out even if he wanted to. Sima Yue didn't expect this guy to be so honest and eat it directly. "Aren't you afraid that it's poison?" she asked in surprise. "Is that poison?" Roy blinked. He didn't seem to have thought about this question at all. Sima Yue was speechless. "Then what were you looking at just now?" "I felt that this pill smelled really good." "Everyone. All right." Sima Yue tried hard to make herself smile. "My pill has immediate effects. How do you feel now?" "I don't feel the urge to talk anymore." Roy touched his neck. "That's good. Is there any effect after eating one?" "Yes." When they reached the courtyard, Roy returned to the bamboo garden. Luo Lu purposely slowed down. "Miss Yue, that pill," Sima Yue smiled. "That's for stomach problems." Luo Lu. Stop Show 7. Chapter 2082. Stop Show 3. That night, 2 men in black ran through the streets of Happiness City and quickly approached the tombstone in the middle of the city. But before they were even 100 meters away from the tombstone, a group of people suddenly appeared in the square and surrounded the 2 men in black. Nan Yuji came out from the back and sneered at the man in black in the middle. "Sima Yue, you really came." Sima Yue pulled down the black cloth on her face. "You already knew that I would come." Of course, as the little princess of the ghost realm. What else can she come here for other than this tombstone? Nan Yuji said. This tombstone had helped many people to understand. Even if there was no emperor, it was still very important to the people of the Soul Society. He couldn't think of any other reason why the little princess of the ghost realm came here. Sima Yue smiled at him. I'm sorry, maybe you thought that you were smart, but this time you guessed wrong. My target is not this tombstone, but you. Ha ha ha, what an arrogant tone. Nan Yuji laughed. There are many people in this world who are interested in me. You're the first one to say it so openly. If you're willing to dual cultivate with me, I don't mind having a little princess of the ghost realm in my harem. Although it's late now, you can't be daydreaming like this. Sima Yue put her hands behind her back. She didn't feel threatened at all. Whether I'm daydreaming or not, you'll know soon enough. Nan Yuji said. If we catch the little princess of the ghost realm, I think the Ghost King will be happy to ransom you. With how much the Ghost King loves you, I think he will be willing to pay a high price. What a coincidence. Seems like we have the same thoughts. If we catch you, I think the city lord will be willing to pay the ransom. Sima Yue realized that they had the same thoughts. The city lord of Happiness City valued Nan Yuji. Although they weren't related by blood, they still called each other father and son. But the city lord hadn't appeared for a long time. The entire Happiness City was basically managed by Nan Yuji. Nan Yuji was not her ultimate goal in Happiness City, but it could help her achieve her goal. You're so beautiful. If it weren't for the fact that you and I are enemies, I really want to take you into my harem. Nan Yuji smiled evilly. What a pity, I'm not interested in you at all. Sima Yue said. Since we have the same goal, let's see who can achieve their goal tonight. Nan Yuji felt that there was no suspense in this question. With a wave of his hand, all the soldiers charged towards the two of them. Happiness City was currently in a state of high alert. Everyone who entered the city, whether they had a token or not, would be checked. The soldiers of the city lord's mansion were searching for something all day long. As time passed, their expressions became more and more solemn. Nan Yuji had disappeared. Now, the entire Happiness City was looking for him. No one knew who had taken him away. It could be said that he had become the public enemy of the city. They couldn't understand why these people wanted to capture Nan Yuji. Where are these people hiding? No one was allowed to leave Happiness City at night. Before the city gates opened, many people had already died in the mayor's mansion. The butler immediately sealed the city gates. The entire Happiness City only allowed people to enter but not leave. Hence, it was impossible for these people to escape. Later on, they found out that the young city lord had disappeared. No matter how chaotic the outside world was, Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu were leisurely drinking tea and chatting in the courtyard. It was as if they were not the ones who had caused such a huge commotion. Luo Lu vaguely felt that something was amiss. However, he did not have any evidence and there was no way to directly find Nan Yuji. Moreover, it did not affect their safety for the time being. Hence, he did not say anything to Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu. Luo Yi went to look for Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu. Yue, your pill is amazing. Ever since I ate it, I really don't like to talk so much. Luo Yi said happily. As long as you think it's useful. Sima Yue did not say that it was just a hint in his heart. I didn't expect your medical skills to be so amazing. If I have any illnesses in the future, I can look for you. If I'm still around. Why? Are you planning to leave? Luo Yi asked in surprise. If I don't leave now, we will have to part ways in the future. Sima Yue said. We don't know what's going on outside. Where do you think Nan Yuji ran to? Maybe he ran away by himself and caused us to be unable to leave. Luo Yi was too happy. There was nothing fun in Happiness City. She only wanted to see Nan Yuji. Now that she had seen him, he could not stand being trapped here. Who knows what he is? Sima Yue's expression did not change. Looking at her, she did not think that Nan Yuji was in her hands. However, this situation will not last for long. Why? Sixth uncle said that Happiness City cannot continue to be in chaos. Now that people are allowed to enter but not leave, everyone has an opinion. So when the city lord comes out, Happiness City will be settled. Where is this Nan Yu Miao? Why didn't he come out when such a big thing happened in Happiness City? Sima Yue asked. There are rumors that he is in seclusion. There are also rumors that he is not here. We don't know much about the situation here, so we can only listen to what others say. Luo Yi said. But no matter what the situation is, so many days have passed. He should have come out. Is that so? I would like to meet this city lord. Sima Yue said meaningfully. Nan Yu Miao is not someone you can interact with easily. It's better if you don't meet him. My master said that this person is cruel and merciless. It is common for him to kill the innocent. He is also very strong and seems to be related to one of the 10 commanders. So most people don't dare to provoke him. My master told me to avoid him if I see him. This person is so powerful. Luo Yi nodded his head twice. So if we see him in the city, it's better not to provoke him. You are so afraid of him. You dared to provoke Nan Yuji previously. Is it because Nan Yu Miao is not here? Ahem. There are some things that should not be exposed even if you see through them. Luo Yi felt a little embarrassed and immediately changed the topic. Who do you think took Nan Yuji away? Since Happiness City is in chaos, Nan Yu Miao will come out. The person who took Nan Yuji away must be the person who wants Nan Yu Miao to come out. Of course I know this. What I want to say is, who is so stupid to target Nan Yu Miao? Sima Yoyue's mouth twitched. How could she tell him that this person was right in front of him? Stop show 7. Chapter 2083. After a few days of chaos in Happiness City, Nan Yu Miao appeared. Looking at his face that was filled with anger, the people in Happiness City remembered that they had not seen him for a long time. You still haven't found the young city lord? Nan Yu Miao's voice was hoarse and cold. Nope. Those who followed the young city lord that night are all dead. We don't know where he went either. The butler said. Nan Yu Miao's face darkened. Didn't you ask him? I did, but the young lord said that he couldn't be sure, so he wanted to go and take a look. If it's true, then he can give the city lord a big gift. Before he is sure, he doesn't want to say anything. The butler replied. He didn't tell anyone where he went and didn't say who he was with. Now that everyone around him was dead, there was no trace of who caught him. The only thing he knew was that those people died under the tombstone. Nan Yu Miao frowned. Did he suddenly have this idea? Yes. Who did he meet during the day? He organized a gathering during the day, similar to the previous ones. Bring me all the people who attended that day. Yes. The butler wanted to say that he had already checked all these people, but when he saw the city lord's gloomy face, he swallowed his words. Forget it. The city lord wanted to find a way to calm himself down, so he didn't want to hurt him. Soon, all the people who attended that day were called over, including Luo Yi and Sima Yue. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared by what I said that day. As long as we don't provoke him, he won't do anything to us. Luo Yi saw that Sima Yue's expression was different from usual, so he comforted her. She felt 3 black lines slide down the back of her head. This guy didn't see her as worried or scared. Luo Lu rolled his eyes behind Luo Yi. He was obviously excited. Why did it turn into worry and fear in your eyes? It seemed that the young lord's eyes had problems. He had to find someone to check her. But he glanced at Sima Yue, and Sima Yue understood the worry in his eyes. She thought for a while and said, Luo Yi, let's split up here. Split up here? Why? This horse is about to reach the city lord's mansion, Roy shouted. I suddenly remembered something, so I can't go to the city lord's residence. Sima Yue said. What's the matter? Do you need my help? Roy asked her. No, you can just say that we're not familiar with each other. Sima Yue said. You'll be doing me a favor if you say so. If she didn't implicate him, she wouldn't feel bad. This was indeed a help. Yue, it's settled then. Goodbye. After Sima Yue finished speaking, she turned around and left with Wu Lingyu. They disappeared into the crowd, making it difficult for Luo Yi to chase after them. Luo Lu was surprised. He thought that Sima Yue would make use of them. He did not expect her to leave so quickly. Luo Yi wanted to chase after Sima Yue but was stopped by him. Young master, you can't. The people from the city lord's mansion have come out. Luo Yi flung his hand away with all his might, trying to struggle free. They've come out. Why are you stopping me? Yue has something to do. I have to go and help her. Young master. Don't you remember what she said just now? Luo Lu refused to let go of his hand. That's what she said, but I can't just leave her alone. She's my friend. Luo Yi said. Why did she suddenly say that she wanted to leave? Something must have happened. Under such circumstances, how can I not help her? Young master, she's fine. You don't know what happened to her, and you don't know where she went. If you look for her rashly, it might backfire. You won't be able to help her, but you'll bring her trouble instead. This. Luo Yi hesitated. What Luo Lu said was not impossible. Young master, think about it. Did she look worried before she left? Luo Yi thought for a while and shook his head. No. Since she didn't, it means that she's not worried about this. If she needs help, she'll tell you. Luo Lu said. And didn't she say it before she left? She wants you to pretend that you're not close to her to help her. Maybe she needs to do something, and her relationship with us will drag her down. Luo Yi was silent. Luo Lu looked at him without confidence, not knowing if he would listen to him. Seeing Luo Yi's expression soften, he heaved a sigh of relief. It wasn't that he didn't have any opinions about Sima Yue, but they didn't have enough people to protect the young master. He had to think about the young master's safety. Moreover, Nan Yumiao's background was complicated. He had a close relationship with a commander. If he had anything to do with him, it would be troublesome in the future. Of course, if Sima Yue didn't take the initiative to leave, he wouldn't chase them away. She took the initiative to leave, which made him think more highly of her. Let's go in. Luo Yi didn't know if it was because Sima Yue left, or because he was hit by Luo Lu's words, but he was a little dispirited and depressed. Luo Lu was a little shocked. No matter what the reason was, in this short period of time, he cared so much about Sima Yue. This was something he didn't expect. He had never seen the young master so concerned about anyone before. The moment they entered the city lord's residence, there were soldiers following them in the name of protection. Why would they need protection in the city lord's residence? Wasn't this a disguised imprisonment? But facing Nan Yumiao's murderous face, no one dared to say anything. As long as it didn't affect their safety, it was better to suffer some grievances than to lose their lives. The butler did a head count and realized that 2 people were missing, so he immediately reported this. Do you know who those 2 people are? They should be from Rising Spirit Sect. They came with the young master of Rising Spirit Sect and Luo Lu. But today Luo Lu and the rest are here, but those 2 didn't. Then get Luo Lu to explain it to me. Yes. Luo Yi and Luo Lu came in front of Nan Yumiao. Elder Lu, long time no see. Nan Yumiao's hoarse voice had a biting chill, which made one's hair stand on end. We haven't seen each other for 100 years. Luo Lu counted the days seriously, as if they were really friends. We live in the east and west. Why are you in my happiness city? Isn't it time for my young master to train? I followed him and came down for a walk. Luo Lu saw Nan Yumiao staring at him and smiled. My young master has some thoughts. He wants to see who is more handsome between your young master and him, so he came over. So you killed my son. Chapter 2084. The smile on Luo Lu's face disappeared. South Jade City Lord, your words are too irresponsible. You said we killed the young city lord. Do you have any evidence? Nan Yumiao sneered. If it wasn't you, why didn't the 2 people who came with you come? Isn't it because they have a guilty conscience? You mean Yue and Sima? They've already left. We don't know them well. We don't know what they did. And you don't have any evidence to say that they did it, right? If they didn't do it, why would they leave? Nan Yumiao was certain that Sima Yue captured Nan Yuji. He turned and walked to his chair. We'll know when we catch them. Men, go and arrest those 2 for me. Luo Yi finally understood what was going on. He wanted to argue with Nan Yuji, but was stopped by Luo Lu. Uncle Lu, tell Southern Jade City Lord that he made a mistake. Yue and Sima Yue didn't capture Nan Yuji. Their soldiers even searched our place. If they did it, why couldn't they find anyone? Luo Yi was anxious. He requested Luo Lu. Nan Yumiao sat on his chair, looked at the anxious Luo Yi. He said ambiguously, you have a good relationship with those 2? They're my friends. Luo Yi admitted. So you're in cahoots? Nan Yu Miao said to Luo Lu. What else do you have to say? Then why don't you ask my young master? When did we meet them? When? We met when we were queuing to enter the city. After that, we became friends. Luo Yi replied. Really? Of course it's true. Although we didn't know each other for long, we're still friends. Luo Yi said seriously. That was what he thought as well. Nan Yu Miao stared at Luo Yi for a while. Luo Yi held his head high. He didn't hide anything because of this relationship. Nan Yu Miao pursed his lips. I think you might have made some bad friends. He might not believe Luo Lu's words, but everyone in the Azure Dragon Soul region knew that the young master of Rising Spirit sect was a rash person. He wouldn't lie. Therefore, they could basically be eliminated from this matter. However, he could not rule out the possibility that Sima Yue had done it. After investigating all the people that day, Nan Yu Miao let them all go, including Roy and the others. If Sima Yue came back for them, they would be able to capture her. After those people left, a soldier commander ran in from outside, knelt on the ground and saluted. City Lord, we searched the entire city, but we didn't find the two people. You didn't find anything? Could they fly in the sky and burrow into the ground? Keep looking. Yes. The enchantment around Happiness City prevented people from leaving as they wished, so it was impossible for these two people to leave without going through the city gates. In that case, they must still be in the city. As long as they were in the city, he had to find them. Nan Yu Miao was very clear about the strength of his own city, so he didn't think that it would be so difficult to catch two people. But when the news came back again and again, his face became more and more gloomy. Useless trash. There are so many of you, yet you can't find those two people? Why did I raise a bunch of useless trash like you? To eat rice? The people kneeling below did not dare to speak. Some of them could not even breathe because of his pressure. All of them lowered their heads, afraid that they would be caught if their heads were too high. City Lord, we have searched inside and outside the city more than 10 times, but we didn't find any trace of them. They seem to have disappeared into thin air. Disappeared into thin air? Did the enchantment react? Did anyone go out of the city gates? None. Now you're telling me that they disappeared into thin air? Is that possible? We didn't say that they definitely disappeared. We only said that it was like. I'll give you one more day. If you can't find them, you can bring your own heads to me. Yes. The people kneeling on the ground got up and left, leaving only a few butlers behind. There's no news from Roy's side? Nan Yu Miao lifted his teacup, wanting to drink some tea to moisten his throat, but thinking of his missing son, he put down the teacup again. Our people are guarding their day and night. We also sent people to follow them when they came out. But there's no news at all. They don't seem to have any intention of going back to look for Roy. As long as these two people are in the city, they should have left some traces. Nan Yu Miao said, send out all the people in the city lord's residence. If there's no other way, call those miners back. Yes. The city lord's mansion had never been as empty as it was at this moment. In the past, it was always crowded with soldiers and guards walking around in groups. The 3-hour patrol made it so that there was no place to sneak in. But now, other than the basic guards in the city lord's residence, everyone else was sent out. So it was not surprising that Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu were not discovered when they came in. It seems that most of the people here have left. This method is indeed useful. She smiled mischievously, causing Wu Lingyu to smile as well. He's waiting for us inside now. Let's go in early. The two of them came to the study where Nan Yu Miao was. Wu Lingyu casually set up a barrier when he went in, covering the entire small building. Nan Yu Miao was resting with his eyes closed. He had been dealing with Nan Yuji's matters for the past few days and did not have a good rest. Now that there was no one in the city lord's residence, he let himself rest for a while. When he heard the sound of the door opening, he thought it was the housekeeper coming in, so he asked with his eyes closed, "Is there any news?" "What news would be valuable if we came here directly?" The unfamiliar voice made Nan Yu Miao open his eyes immediately. He looked at Sima Yue. "You're Sima Yue? Didn't you send people to look for me? Now that I'm here, why do you look unhappy?" Sima Yue pulled 2 stools over and sat opposite Nan Yu Miao with Wu Lingyu. The two of them looked very relaxed. They did not take Nan Yu Miao, who was feared by everyone seriously. Where's she? Nan Yumiao was really concerned about Nan Yuji. He's in a very safe place. For the time being, no one can hurt him, don't worry, Sima Yue said. What do you want? It seemed like he was very good. What do you do for Mu Luofeng? What are you in charge of? Do you see him a lot? Nan Yumiao narrowed his eyes and said with certainty, You're here for Commander Mu. Chapter 2085. Sima Yue did not deny it. She was indeed here for Mu Luofeng. The reason why she did not ask the evil soul about this was because he was just a decoration. His knowledge of the other 9 commanders was no different from a normal passerby. Sima Yue was having a hard time facing his killing intent and pressure. Wu Lingyu held her hand and gently pushed back the pressure. This man was actually so powerful. What Minister of Finance? I don't understand what you mean. Nan Yumiao denied. Wen and Commander Mu are only acquaintances. They don't have any deep relationship. What are you talking about? I don't know. Nan Yumiao's heart was in turmoil, but she did not dare to show it on her face. She did not finish her sentence, but Nan Yumiao knew what she was going to say. Sima Yue did not see it with her own eyes. She saw it in the bearded man's memory. She had to admit that this person was quite capable to be able to smell her soul when she was trying to hide it. Otherwise, he would not be able to escape from their hands after witnessing Nan Yumiao and Mu Luofeng's meeting. Since this is the case, I can't let you go. As long as I take you down, I will naturally find out about Mu Luofeng. Nan Yumiao sneered. Do you really think I sent everyone out? I have already prepared for this. As long as you dare to come, you will not be able to return, Nan Yumiao said confidently. She waved her hand and more than 10 ancient war souls appeared around her. Their aura was not any weaker than those people. In order to not expose the white ghost banner, she placed some ancient war souls into the 2 spirit stones in advance. At this moment, she was playing with the spirit stones in her hand. Seeing her serious expression, she said, Are you going to come with me yourself? Or do we have to beat you half to death before you come with me? Just like your son. TSK, as one of the dignified 4 young masters, if others were to see him with a swollen face and twitching limbs, would they still regard him as the 4th young master? Sima Yue tapped the 2 spirit stones lightly as she smiled mischievously. That smile made Nan Yumiao want to go up and tear her face apart. Looks like you have to choose the second option, Sima Yue said. You don't have to be polite to him. Just leave him with his last breath. Take care of the others. Wu Lingyu protected Sima Yue. The shockwaves from the battle were too great, so Wu Lingyu's spirit barrier was destroyed. And Mb. Chapter 2086. Sima Yue never thought that what she did in Happiness City would unintentionally bring about such a huge change in Happiness City. After leaving Happiness City, they first found a remote place to rest. Sima Yue called out Nan Yumiao. Nan Yumiao was heavily injured, and it was difficult for her to maintain her body. Sima Yue used her divine sense to probe her sea of consciousness, wanting to extract some useful information. But she found out that his divine sense was restricted and could not be forcefully broken through. Looks like he's guarding against this. She kept Nan Yumiao back into the spirit stone. Inside, his injuries would slowly recover, and when she needed him, he would not be in such a state. Hua Wuxiang and Mu Luofeng were both Qi He's right-hand men. Both of them did not see eye to eye, but because of Qi He's suppression, they were barely able to get along. However, this was only on the surface. Once something happens, their accumulated resentment would explode. Wu Lingyu said, Now this opportunity is in front of us. Sima Yue's lips curled up. She was in a good mood when she thought that she could trick the 2 commanders under Qi He. Originally, she and Deja discussed that Qing Hun would definitely not be willing to hand over the Western God's seal if he wanted to change his mother's seal. Therefore, they had to think of a way to make Qing Hun be willing to hand over the Western God's seal. However, he did not have any weaknesses. He was lustful, greedy, and eager for quick success. He did not seem to have any of these. It was really troublesome to deal with such a strong and hostile person. When they were in Immortal Witch's City, She and Deja discussed to start with Chi-He and let Chi-He become Ching-Hun's breakthrough. However, at that time they discussed to start with Ruin Valley, because Ruin Valley was busy with the clear snow lotus. However, later on they found out about the grudge between Mu Luofeng and Hua Wuxiang from Big Beard's memory. They also found out that there was a time bomb, Nan Yumiao, between them. If they did not make good use of it, they would be letting down Big Beard. Then we'll go find Hua Wuxiang now. I wonder where he is now. The 10 great commanders have their own areas of responsibility. He's also a public figure, so there's bound to be people who know his whereabouts. Wu Lingyu said. That's easy for you to say. The Vermilion Bird's territory is so big. Even if we know where he was before, he definitely won't be there by the time we get there. At the very least, we need to know where he is. We don't even know his general location, so we can't make the next step of the plan. Wu Lingyu ruffled her hair. Don't worry. Since Nan Yumiao is in our hands, how can those two escape? Yes, I was too anxious, Sima Yue pouted. Let's find a city further away and ask around. The two of them walked for a long distance before they finally found a bustling city to settle down in. Before entering the city, they had to pay a large entrance fee. And for some reason, the queue to enter the city was especially long. Sima Yue couldn't see the city gate in front of her, and she couldn't see the end of the queue behind her. This queue was much bigger than in Happiness City. Everyone had to pay 1,000 middle-grade crystals to enter the city. Multiplied by this huge queue, how much would the entrance fee be every day? Has Hua Wuxiang gone crazy from thinking about money? It's just the entrance fee, but it's already so expensive. Sima Yue sighed. Young lady, you haven't been here for long, right? An elderly man in front of her heard her words and turned around to talk to her. That's right, I haven't been here for long. I've only been to 2 cities. Sima Yue replied vaguely. But the cities I went to didn't have so many people. Why are there so many people here? Everyone has to pay such a high entrance fee. Wouldn't the rulers be making a lot of money every day? The elderly man laughed and said, Young lady, you're thinking too much. How can there be so many people every day? Also, the entrance fee is only higher these few days. It's usually lower. Oh, why is it so special these few days? Sima Yue asked curiously. Looks like you've really just arrived here. The elderly man said, These few days, it's the windy season that happens once a year. Windy season? What does that have to do with entering the city? Of course it's to enter the city to take refuge. Every year, the wind at this time of the year was no ordinary wind. There's a strong force in the wind that can blow a person's body away. At this time, one can only stay in the city and use the city protection array to block the wind. The elderly man explained. So the people who enter the city during this time will be special. The entrance fee will also be more expensive. Then what if they can't pay the entrance fee? They can only stay outside and be blown away by the wind? There are other ways. For example, if you're willing to serve them for a year, if you agree, you can enter without paying. If you're not even willing to do this, then you can only wait for death outside. That's quite humane. Not at all. The elderly man sighed and shook his head. It's said that you only have to serve for a year, but actually, no one knows how many people will come out after going in. I used to have a few friends who died like this. There's such a thing. Of course there is. Do you think those rulers are really that good? Rogue cultivators like us have no power, no background. Even if we die during our service, who will know? The elderly man sighed deeply after he finished speaking. *half. */floating born. Update quickly. Old grandpa, from your tone, it seems that this service. Hee hee, little girl, you're so sharp. Actually, I'm planning to serve the corvée. The elderly man laughed bitterly. I don't have enough money. I used all my belongings to buy cultivation resources. I don't even know if I can live until next year. Sima Yue sympathized with him. Do rogue cultivators like you have to travel everywhere? Then are you very familiar with the situation here? You're right about that. If we don't travel everywhere, how can we find cultivation resources? The elderly man said. Do you want to ask something? Tell me, I'll tell you what I know. You see, We've just arrived here, we're not familiar with this place. We don't know which places are prosperous, which places we shouldn't go, and which people we shouldn't mess with. Sima Yue said, how about this? I'll pay for you to enter the city and buy your time for a year. We'll take care of your food and clothing and ensure your safety. You can bring us around. How about that? Little girl, are you serious? The elderly man was excited. Instead of serving the corvée, he would rather follow them and live for a year. Chapter 2087. Was there a need to consider such a good thing? The old man was definitely willing. Furthermore, this young lady was quite easygoing. She shouldn't be a difficult person to get along with. This way, not only would he not have to use a year's worth of labor in exchange for the entrance fee, he would also not have to spend money for a year. Such a good thing was hard to come by. If he rejected it, he wouldn't be a normal person. Since you've agreed, then it's settled. Sima Yue said. Thank you so much. The old man was extremely excited. He knew that Sima Yue was doing this to help him. That guide thing was just a way for her to make it sound good. Sima Yue smiled. She really wanted to find someone to understand the situation. The entrance fee was just a side benefit. Since the queue is still long, why don't you tell me about the situation here? Okay. Following the old man's explanation, Sima Yue finally knew where she was. Wuxiang City, Huawuxiang's second base. Other than staying in the capital, he spent most of his time here. If she was lucky, she would be able to meet him here. However, when the old man heard her asking about Huawuxiang, he immediately broke her fantasy. Commander Hua is definitely not in Wuxiang City recently. Why? Recently, there's the Azure Dragon Soul Domain Genius Selection Competition. Every time, Commander Mu will personally go. If you're chosen by him, you'll be able to reach the top in the Soul Domain. Genius Selection Competition? Where is it held? I think it's in a city near the capital. How would we know about this kind of thing? The old man laughed. Isn't this announced? Sima Yue asked curiously. There's no need to announce it. The truly powerful people are those in the forces. They already know about it. There's no need to announce it. What if there are other geniuses? This kind of situation is very rare. You know what will happen to those souls after they come here. The talented ones are all chosen. Even if the remaining ones survive, they won't have a chance to participate in this kind of event. Since it's a genius selection competition, it's not a place for just anyone to enter. It's usually a recommendation. Alright, there was really no need to announce this situation to the world. Even if there were 1 or 2 geniuses who slipped through the net, it wouldn't matter. In any case, it was impossible to recruit all the geniuses in the world. Is she the only one who is confessing? If I remember correctly, there should be 2 commanders here. Are you talking about Mu Luofeng? This time, it's only Commander Hua who's doing it. The old man replied. However, I heard that Commander Hua invited Commander Mu to watch. So they're together now. I think so. However, we don't know the whereabouts of the commanders either. Who knows if they are still around? It doesn't matter if he is here or not. I have to go and take a look. Sima Yue smiled. There was no news before, but now there was news. They chatted as they walked slowly towards the town. And at last it was their turn before dark. Sima Yue handed over 3 people's worth of money, and the guards looked at the 3 of them, nodded and let them pass. After they entered the town, he immediately gave his position to someone else and rushed into the town to report. Sima Yue didn't know that she was being watched. She brought the old man to find an inn, and soon, the news of them checking in reached the city lord's residence. In the city lord's residence, a white-clothed man sat on the main seat. He looked at the person kneeling below and asked, "Is the news true? Are you sure it's those 2 people?" "Commander Bai, those 2 people are the same as in the portrait." The person kneeling on the ground replied. "These people are really daring. They caught Nan Yu Miao and still dare to come to Unscented City." White Rose sneered. "Did you see Nan Yu Miao?" "No, I'm guessing that they put him in a spirit stone." "Yes, pay close attention to their whereabouts. Although I don't really like Nan Yu Miao, he's still a commander's subordinate. He was caught, and we were all disgraced with him. Be careful, don't get caught. Yes, Commander, bye. The person kneeling on the ground got up and left. The guard beside White Rose waited for the person to leave before complaining. Master, why don't you take the opportunity to kill him? Instead, you waste your energy to save him? Save him? Who said I'm going to save him? White Rose sneered. I just want to avenge him. After all, he's a city lord and he's under the same commander. I understand. Nanyu Miao was not dead yet, but she said that she wanted to avenge him. There was no doubt that he would not be able to survive. There was only one ending waiting for him. They didn't know whether they were the manipulators in the end. Sima Yue stayed in the city for 2 days. Seeing that the weather was good every day, she asked Old Manly, Uncle Li, will there really be a strong wind like you said? The weather looks good. It doesn't look like it's going to be windy. She wanted to find Hua Wuxiang as soon as possible. If there was no wind, she wanted to go there immediately after finding out the news. Don't just look at it. There are no signs. 3 days. It won't be more than 3 days before the strong wind comes. Old Manly said with certainty. Sima Yue saw that he was so sure, so she did not say anything else. Miss, you want to participate in the genius selection competition? Old Manly asked. Sima Yue nodded. Anyway, going to find Hua Wuxiang and the genius competition looked the same. If he misunderstood, then so be it. It was not good to tell him about it anyway. Baidu sister-in-law half. Fu, Sheng crazy wife. 5th Miss of the Divine Doctor. You don't have to rush. The genius selection competition will last for a while. After the strong wind season passes, we can rush over in time. Old Manly said. Of course, the prerequisite is that we have the exact location of the selection competition. That shouldn't be a problem. Isn't this Hua Wuxiang's headquarters? Sima Yue said confidently. Other places might not be known, but for a place like the headquarters, his people would definitely know more. It would be easier to find out the news. However, what troubled her was that the scarlet bees were not as useful here. According to Wu Lingyu's guess, it should be because these spiritas were not living creatures. Therefore, they would be more sensitive to the appearance of living creatures. After all, the scarlet bees could only hide their presence, but not their life. This was a huge hindrance to her finding out information. It was also because of this that they had been walking around in the city for the past 2 days. They wanted to see if they could find out any news. Wu Lingyu sat by the window, looking at the street outside. She frowned slightly. Chapter 2088. Although he did not make it obvious, Sima Yue still noticed it. What's wrong? What did you see? Nothing. Wu Lingyu did not plan to tell her. She did not need to know about these small things. However, Sima Yue knew him too well. She understood when he said that. However, both of them had the same thought. This was just a small matter. Old Manly did not have such tacit understanding. He looked at Sima Yue's absent-minded expression and asked, "We've been sitting here for more than an hour, and we haven't heard anything useful. Do you want to try another tea house?" Sima Yue shook her head. No need. When she was in Happiness City, she realized that the people here did not like to drink tea. To be exact, those who had not materialized could not drink tea. As for those who had materialized, perhaps because of their physical bodies, they were not keen on drinking tea. Therefore, there were very few tea houses like this. If it was not because this was Hua Wuxiang's headquarters, they might not even be able to find one today. Therefore, although she was disappointed that she did not get the information she wanted from these tea houses, she was not surprised. Scentless City was managed very well. Perhaps it was because this was his headquarters, and those people were forbidden to talk about him. Then what about the information we want? Old Manly asked worriedly. He was not worried that Sima Yue would miss the competition. He was just worried that if that happened, Sima Yue would not go there and would not hire him. She had promised to cover his expenses for a year. This way he could save a lot of money. This method won't work. Let's think of another way. Anyway, there are still 3 days until the wind season. It will be at least half a month before it arrives. We'll get the information sooner or later. We've been out for a day. Let's go back and rest. They returned to the inn where they were staying. In order to avoid being noticed, they only asked for 2 rooms. Sima Yue asked as soon as she returned to her room. Is it from the mayor's palace or Hua Wuxiang's? I can't tell. However, we've been watched since the beginning. Wu Lingyu said, but there seems to be more people today. Could it be that they can't wait to make a move? Sima Yue frowned. It was not a good time. The wind season was coming. If they left the city now, no matter where they were, it would be impossible to reach the city within 2 days. They had not experienced the wind season, and did not know how powerful it was. But when they thought about the endless stream of people entering the city, they knew that it would not be easy. Not. When it wasn't necessary, they didn't want to feel it. @_250_left. However, there weren't that many people supervising the operation 2 days ago. Now that the number of people had increased, did it represent the attitude of the ruler here? I can't say for sure, let's wait and see. Wu Lingyu wasn't sure either. Hua Wuxiang's people should know about what happened in Happiness City. Although they have been watching us, they have not make a move. This shows that their attitude is also ambiguous. And if they really come, then there's nothing to worry about. At worst, I'll just hide in the little world. Okay, I'll go to the governor's palace and the mayor's palace to take a look tomorrow. Since they could not get information from the tea house, they had to think of another way. It seems like that's the only way. The next day they left Old Man Li at the inn. The 2 of them left the inn. The people who were watching them followed them immediately. However, after following them for a while, they realized that they had lost the 2 of them. The 2 people who were following them looked around. After making sure that they had lost them, they went back with sullen faces. They did not expect them to lose them so quickly. They were afraid that they would be in trouble. White Rose was silent for a second when he heard that they had lost them. The guards beside him drew their swords and chopped them into ashes. Useless trash. White Rose's expression was ugly. Even if he killed these 2 people, it did not relieve the anger in his heart. Commander White, should we send more people? The mayor's palace's butler asked. Even if we send more people, we won't be able to find them. White Rose was not interested in Sima Yue's whereabouts. What made him angry was that these people were discovered so easily. However, Sima Yu had thrown his men away. This was a blatant slap to his face. Commander White, it seems like they have discovered us. Should we make a move first? White Rose did not make a decision immediately. He asked, what's the governor's palace doing? Their people have been discovered. If they hadn't sent people to keep an eye on them, they wouldn't have. The people from the governor's palace. White Rose's eyes were cold. It seemed like he had been holding a grudge against them for a long time. When will the governor come out of seclusion? Judging from the movements from the cultivation room, it should be within these 2 days. It should not be more than half a month. The butler replied. The wind season is coming. It's not a good thing to advance at this time. My governor also understands this. That's why he requested for Commander White's help. Thinking about the impending advancement, White Rose suppressed the anger in his heart. He said, continue to send people to Sima Yue. Follow them further away. The butler and the guards understood that he did not intend to touch Sima Yue for the time being. It was really not a good time. However, from now until the end of the wind season, there would be no exits from the city. During this period of time, they could only stay in the city. After the governor's advancement, he would have the time and energy to deal with them. Commander White, the governor's palace. The butler pointed at the governor's palace. They already had a rough idea of Sima Yu's strength. Although they didn't put her in their eyes, if they wanted to take her down in the city, it would still be difficult. The most important thing was that it would cause a huge commotion. It was very likely that it would affect the city lord's advancement. Hence, not only could they not touch her, but they also could not touch the governor's palace. However, the governor's palace and the governor's palace were not on good terms recently. If they were to request them now, they might not listen. White Rose knew about the grudges between the 2 sides, and understood the butler's worries. He remained silent for a while before saying, restrain the people from the governor's palace. I will talk to the governor's palace. 360 search Bien Phu. Asterisk Sheng. Calm crazy wife. Godly Doctor 5th Young Miss Quick update. Thank you, Commander White. The butler bowed to him gratefully. As long as he helped, there would be no problems. Speaking of which, why did you guys have grudges? The butler hesitated for a while before saying, it's actually related to the genius selection competition that's going on. How is it related to this? The genius selection competition is being held in Daliang. It's not here. Why are you guys fighting over this? So it's in Daliang. The two who heard the news laughed silently. Chapter 2089. Sima Yue was not interested in the grudges between the governor's residence and the city lord's residence. In order not to be discovered, the two of them left quietly after they heard the news. But even so, they were almost discovered when they left. After returning, Sima Yue asked about Daliang City. Old Man Li was shocked. Are you sure it's Daliang City? Seeing Old Man Li's huge reaction, Sima Yue asked curiously, what's wrong with Daliang City? You don't know about Daliang City. Old Man Li sighed in his heart. The surrounding areas of the imperial capital are all flat and peaceful. Only Daliang City's area has uneven terrain and many dangerous places. Also, it's very strange there. In some places, people will disappear while walking. So strange. Yes. No matter how powerful they are, they won't be able to find out the reason. Once they disappear, they will never appear again. Old Man Li was terrified when he thought of this. Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu looked at each other. They had the same curiosity and fear. It seemed that the Soul Society was different from other places. There were terrifying gales and places like Daliang City. Since Daliang City is so dangerous, why is the talent selection held there? Sima Yue did not understand. Is it to better select the talents? I don't think so. Wu Lingyu shook his head. Although they are called talents, I don't think they are very strong. It's okay to lose one or two people. If many people die, it's not worth it. The talents who had grown up would have chosen their masters or started working for them. They would not wait for the selection. Hence, those who participated in the selection were naturally young and talented. However, the age here was not calculated based on age. It was calculated based on the time they had been in the Soul Society. Sima Yue thought about it and agreed. If everyone died or disappeared, it would be a huge loss. Then why did he choose such a dangerous place? Old Man Li asked this question because he could not think of a reason. That's something that only those in power know. Perhaps we'll find out when we get there, Wu Lingyu said. You're still going there? Old Man Li looked at them in surprise. Since we know where the competition is, of course we have to go. Sima Yue said confidently. Do you know that apart from these, there are other dangers there? There's no need to think about it. But that won't stop us. Sima Yue smiled. Besides, there aren't many safe places in this world. Look at how many people are still safe and sound today, but tomorrow their heads will be separated from their bodies. A safe place might not necessarily be free of danger, and a dangerous place might not necessarily be unsafe. Uncle Li, shouldn't you feel this way the most? Old Man Li's body trembled. Sima Yue was right. Rogue cultivators like them could understand this the best. He was still alive today, but who knew if he would come back tomorrow? Even if he was in a safer place, he would still have to face all kinds of dangers. Just like the incident with the strong wind. He had no money. He would either be blown to death by the strong wind, or he would have to agree to serve the corvée for a year. Either way, he would die. Who knew what it would be like in Daliang City? He might even be able to fight his way out. However, Sima Yue saw his uncertain expression and thought that he was unwilling. She said, if you don't want to go, we won't force you. After all, the road ahead is too dangerous. It's not that I'm unwilling. It's just that I don't know much about that place. But I have a friend there. If we go, we can ask her about the local situation. Old Man Li calculated in his mind and decided to go with them. It'll be easier if you have a friend, Sima Yue said with a smile. If it was difficult for outsiders to get information, it would be much easier for the locals to get it. Then when the wind season is over, we can depart, Old Manly said. Seeing Sima Yu nod her head, his heart finally settled. He was really afraid that she would not bring him along just now. 2 days later, the originally clear sky suddenly changed. It turned from a sunny day to a strong wind in just a few minutes. When the wind started blowing, all the city gates were closed. The city protection formation was activated immediately. Those who had not entered the city in time were blocked outside. When the wind blew, they were all blown into the sky. Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu stood by the window. They watched as the people who were blown into the sky disappeared after a few seconds. They were amazed by the power of the wind. Uncle Li is right. This wind is really scary. If we were outside, with my ability, without any trump cards, we might not be able to withstand it, Sima Yue said. This wind is so strange. It's as if it came from the ground. Wu Lingyu had never seen such a situation. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I heard from Uncle Li that this is only found in the Azure Dragon Soul region. The other 3 places don't have it. Sima Yue was curious. However, she did not have the energy to investigate now. If you're interested, you can take your time to investigate after we rescue your mother. She could only be curious now. When the wind season is over, we'll have to deal with those people, Wu Lingyu said. The city lord's residence or the commander's residence. I wonder who will come first. Old Man Li was on the street now. He looked up at those who were blown into the sky by the wind. A few of them were people he knew. He watched as they struggled in the wind for a while, before they were torn apart by the wind. They turned into black smoke and disappeared forever. If he did not meet Sima Yue, if he was not willing to serve the corvée, he would end up like them. So what if Daliang City was dangerous? At least he had a chance to survive. Even if he could not escape death, he would still live for a few more days. He closed his eyes. When he opened them again, there was no more hesitation in his eyes. He turned around and returned to the inn. He wanted to tell Sima Yue something he knew. Sima Yue was shocked when she heard what he said. You said you found an ore vein outside Daliang City? Is that true? Sima Yue asked. It's true. Old Man Li nodded. If it wasn't for this, I wouldn't have stayed away from that place for so many years. Didn't you say you weren't familiar with that place? How did you know there was an ore vein outside the city? Wu Lingyu asked. Because that incident was too tragic. We don't want to think about it anymore. It was that incident that made me realize that there are many places where people can disappear unknowingly. He could not help but shiver when he recalled the situation. You're tuning in to the Echoes of the Heart YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.